You're live, Tim. All right. In honor of Gene Wolfe, we experienced the fruits of his inventive mind.
Right here. His greatest accomplishment.
Welcome to the Wolfpack episode 2.
We are not sponsored by Pringles.
Yeah,
Not sponsored
that's
by
Gene Wolfe
Pringles.
himself.
That's
No, well, I mean,
it actually really is Gene Wolfe.
Yeah, more or less. With that
Incredible.
stash.
Incredible. How did we never, it's one of the mysteries.
Staring us right in the face.
Wow.
Oh my
Gene
God,
Wolfe's
clues are
posture is like
everywhere.
this. Like sitting down.
I can understand
His
that.
Wikipedia picture is exactly that.
Yeah.
It's like a deflated bag.
He's a deflated man.
Yes.
No spine.
Like he's like on that Henry Kissinger.
A walrus
thing.
man.
All right, well, here we go. We're live.
I read the 8 chapters like the day after I think we finished. I was like so hyped and
Yeah.
primed, and then so I haven't like gone back much, but I'd like reread the first 2. So that's
I did the
kinda what
opposite.
did.
I read like almost all of them that day.
Yeah.
And then I just read like the last 2.
Cool.
Just now.
I read it all today, this morning.
Yeah,
I
me
had a
too.
very nice.
That's the best way.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It would have been good to
First,
start.
I have to change this camera angle.
We're starting on 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Here's
You
the
wanna
code.
go back
There you
to
go.
the
I just texted you.
Ooh, the picture cleaner.
Yep. Be seeing you.
this part's cool. So we go picture cleaner to ballanders. Is that what it?
No,
wait.
It's not anywhere
Bald
in...
head.
We go picture cleaner to his.
To Thecla
So
killing
yeah,
his...
to death of Thecla.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Just do 4?
His betrayal.
We didn't
No,
do
8.
I think it was 12 to 12,
8,
5
yeah.
to 12.
We
I
did
think.
8
12.
chapters, so we're
Okay.
on 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
my
So
God, I read through
that's
12.
the traitor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
His-
Okay. Cool.
yes.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
She has just killed herself. He turned himself in.
Okay. We read through 8. Or no. Yeah. Bleh.
I don't.
12.
12.
Yeah.
12.
I'm flipping through
Which in our
and
book
seeing all the chapter titles
is
and getting excited about what
83.
we're about to read.
Yep.
Like next
Got it.
month.
Oh,
Ooh, Baldander.
Okay.
Oh my God.
yeah, we're definitely. It's
The
amazing.
antechamber.
Like
I love it.
going back and seeing like just how. I mean, just getting to chapter 12, like it's still just the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
So much. It's so like.
Not even a dent.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting in this one, like, okay, he's gonna like leave the Citadel and like maybe get into some shit. I was like, no.
He has certainly gotten into some shit.
I mean, he has gotten into some shit.
He
but
has
not-
to have his
not outside.
brothel experience.
Yeah. Oh my God. He got
Right.
laid for the first time ever,
Oh,
and he was like,
that's what
"I'm
I-
never doing this
That's what I
again."
want to
He was
talk
too
about.
cool
That
for
whole
it.
scene is really
He's
interesting
over
to
it.
me. It's not sexy or cool. It's really like
It's
not
weird.
a sexy
No,
person.
it's not at all.
You wouldn't call him sexy or cool.
No.
Is this a generational thing, like the brothel experience? It's like young soldiers in the
Yeah.
beginning
Like
of
Mad
the last
Men,
century.
like that sort of thing too.
Well, but
Even through them.
so I don't know how this plays into that, but this was the first time that I realized that the proprietor of the House Azure is the actual autarch.
Yeah.
You what?
The proprietor of it?
Yeah.
That's the first time you... I feel like it was made super explicit at some point.
That he's
I thought
Like it was-
I always
Thought
felt
it
that he
was
was a
like a decoy
Kyber.
or something?
Oh.
That he was another clone.
Okay.
But he has that penis file. And that's
He's the autarch.
Zabo.
Oh, yeah.
He's the definite autarch.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, I think it's partially a recruitment tool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Mhm.
this is part of how he's able to. He's king.
He
he's, Henry
identifies
V in
him.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Through this...
But he has a special privilege to go, right? He
He...
no. At this point, is he like
He who?
Severian?
Oh.
So Severian's sent by Master Gerlos
Right.
to see just because
He
has
doesn't
this
want him to have sex
relationship.
with Thecla,
Right.
Right.
is why.
Yeah.
He's like, I know Thecla's gonna try to have sex with you. I'm gonna get you laid so that you can potentially turn it down.
But this isn't ordinary for apprentices, right? To be
Not
sent on these.
necessarily.
It seems like it's more okay for the journeymen,
Right.
And
Oh, totally.
so-
They're free. They can do whatever they
yeah,
want.
exactly. But it seems like, especially at this stage where they're like, okay, like you can hang out with Thecla, and we're gonna take care of your dick.
Right.
That they're already kind of like whatever. Like, there's a lot of permissiveness
Yeah.
at that stage of the book where they're like, well, you're the number one apprentice, like, whatever.
Yeah,
I was
it's
cranking the generator when I was your age.
It's just a couple
I-
months
right.
until he is gonna be a journeyman anyway.
Yeah.
And also, like, it
But it's
seems like
because-
there's so few of them that it's like they're probably very. I'm assuming that the masters just kind of assume like, oh, these. It's kind of easy to control this because it's just these like sheltered, very small group of sheltered kids, and like there's an older one who's gonna like punch them if they get out of line and shit. But like they're fine. They're, like,
I wanna
and
talk about
also,
this.
I think that they trust Severian a lot. They really like Severian, or like.
Severian,
You don't think
I think
so?
that's Severian's perception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
He
think that-
misbehaves at every
Well,
chance.
and
he
he
gets.
also-
He was
really-
chosen by Thekla. Like, he kind of like happened into the situation, and then Thekla was like, I want you to be my dude now, or whatever. So then, once she like requested that, then they felt like they had to oblige that. So
Yeah.
that's how this whole thing happened. It's not like he just got put on a special assignment out of nowhere.
But Thekla kind of like grabs onto him in a way
Well,
too.
right.
Like, oh, you.
That's
know?
what I'm saying. Like, but
yeah.
it's her doing, not like the fact that he's in this special situation is
Yeah.
because she requested that and like
Right.
latched onto him. Or
Nothing
whatever.
innate to
Yes.
Not
Severian.
because they wouldn't have necessarily
Yeah.
done. It's like circumstantial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, he probably just would have been going through the normal
Regular.
shit.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up, even though I don't think you will like this, it could all be, like, the idea of sending him to the House of Jur could be the Autarch's idea.
Oh.
Right, because there is also this thing where maybe Master Gerlos is a spy for the Autarch.
Tell me more about that.
I gotta remember why I think that.
Whoa.
So can you talk
She has
more
a
about that?
Yeah.
Well, in the fourth book, the Autarch has a big monologue about how he needs to go in disguise amongst his people and how he uses that to get information that he wouldn't be able to get as Autarch because of like the snafu principle and like nobody's going to tell the truth to the Autarch, but as the absolute worst part of society, he is able to have access in a way that you wouldn't as Autarch. That's how he can be informed and manipulate events.
Yeah.
So why does the Autarch want Severian to get laid?
Well, when Severian meets the Autarch, we also know that the Autarch has been watching him from. I mean, when Severian in book 2, is it when Severian meets the Autarch as an agent of Vodalis? I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of implication that the Autarch had so much more information about what's going on than he had any right to at that point. I think that the Autarch has identified Severian as a possible successor and has a hand in manipulating all of these individuals.
All. Yeah. Okay. That's how you're reading it. Like
He
he's
is everyone.
kind of the man behind the curtains,
Yeah.
and he's everyone. Like, what do you mean?
To become Autarch, you have to
yeah,
take
yeah.
the
In that
Alzabo,
Dune-
right?
in the
and then
Dune
eat
way.
Yeah. And so, like, in that way, like, the Autarch is
All
the
of the prior
actual
Autarchs.
representative of Earth because he is everyone on Earth through this Alzabo in some way, you know? He is able to represent all of Earth because all of Earth is living within him.
Wait. Okay, cool.
One thing I feel like that the first couple of these chapters, like definitely starting with the feast, but getting definitely into the brothel stuff, is that I realized that the torturers are like upper middle class or upper class. Like the first 4 chapters, everything's scrappy and they're little and they're swimming and everything's falling apart. And it seems like this is a ragamuffin world and a ragamuffin group of people. But these first couple chapters, I feel like it becomes very clear that they're privileged.
Yeah.
They're despised, but they have it pretty
But they're.
sweet.
He says at one point they're well paid, right?
Yeah.
Like when he's describing like journeymen, he's like at that point they're free and they have pretty much
Oh, right, yeah.
pretty
totally.
much a lot of income.
Yeah.
Right, like a good amount of income.
When you see other people in the world, like other people in Nessus, and then certainly when you get to Thrax, people
Right.
are living horribly.
Yeah. Right. And Nessus is like slums, like all around them.
Yeah.
And he's not that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone just assumes he's an exaltant or rich or someone important
Because of how it looks.
all the time.
Yeah. So I feel like, I don't know, that these people trying to understand what the context to all this brothel, like sex ritual stuff was figuring out that they're not poor, but they're actually pretty privileged. They're like a weird special class. They're like this like DC elite. Like maybe they're like, I don't know what, like children's arms dealers or something in our world, where they're kind of like nasty, but
the
they're
brothel,
doing well.
isn't the brothel really cheap? Isn't it really like, it's just like a couple.
He's surprised by how cheap it
Yeah.
is, right? Like
He thought it was
it'd be
gonna
nice
be-
if we could. Yeah, but he's like, yeah, it's just like a couple Chrysos or whatever for.
It's not even a person.
That totally strikes me as an upper class,
Yeah.
weird rite of passage.
Yeah.
Like we're going to make sure. Like I think there's a logic to it of like you take the virgin to the brothel so that his first experience with sex is not romantic, and then that will forever
yeah.
change his ability to be manipulated via romance. And I remember kids doing that when I was in high school and college. I remember like kids in Catonsville I saw do this to one of them, where they were like a mixed age group of boys, and boys on the top who had lost their virginity before, like directly counseling their younger dudes, you know, like being like, don't be in love with the first person you have sex with. Make sure that's not how it goes down.
How do they know?
I don't know, but I remember seeing that and being like, this is wild that I got to, because I'm a boy, they're just saying this, like, it's not crazy.
And you're saying this is kind of like an aspect of a class,
I
like that's
think
like an
it
upper
is.
class kind of idea,
I
like
think- and
initiate.
Do you think the other torturers do this though? I feel like
Maybe they do.
I don't think it's so,
No,
it's
probably
not like so weird to, who goes? Roach?
Yeah, who
Do
knows?
what?
It seems
Do what?
it seems like regular days.
Go to
Like,
the-
he's
Yeah.
like
Last
showing
year.
him.
He's
He's
seen
showing
it.
him the ropes the
Yeah.
whole time.
Oh,
too. He's
I
like-
don't think it's necessarily common that they get sent there in their last year,
Yeah.
but I think they
Yeah.
all
I feel like they'll
probably
start going
wind
to
up.
lecture.
A lot of them wind up.
Yeah, the
Oh,
masters
well-
are really practical about like, okay, you're gonna be vulnerable if you think sex is
Right.
something mysterious.
that
So
makes
we're gonna
sense.
we're gonna cut this off for you, and it's not even a.
He's also,
dramatic decision.
is it Gerlos who is like, have you had sex yet? Oh, you haven't been to the witches? Oh, that's probably for you. Like,
He's
you
like,
know,
yeah,
he's
that's
just
the witches took
assuming.
care of me.
Like, he's just like, well, he's probably like, almost all of us eventually, like, somehow get into some shit before now. And, like, you know.
Wait, is that section even in the part we've read?
Yeah.
It is.
Gene Wolfe
What
in
chapter?
55?
Oh, the House Azure. I got it.
Yeah, he was in the
Yeah,
Navy.
he went to Korea,
9.
I think.
Chapter
He
9.
dropped out of college and was drafted.
Going to Korea.
We
What a
know
weird
everything
war.
about Gene Wolfe.
Yeah, that was a weird.
So,
That is a really strange war. We don't talk about it anymore because it's
Right.
so weird.
Talk about what?
The
Korea.
Korean War.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that is a weird one.
Koreans
Yeah, it
talk about
doesn't
it
get
all the
old.
time, though. It continues to affect
Yeah,
Sure.
everything going
It's
on.
very important.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a big deal.
The whole division between North and South.
I'm sure they could blow it off if they wanted to.
Are you just? I'm sorry, I was reading something. You're just talking about the Korean War.
Gene Wolfe was in
He
the Korean
dropped
War.
out of college and was drafted.
Gene was in
So
the
he
Korean War.
and I think like he has some
And there's
insights.
Koreans in this book.
He has insights into war as the book goes on too that I find are pretty like later on. I don't mean to jump ahead, but when he talks about like the
In the
hills
war,
and how
yeah.
like ordinary things are elevated in warfare, like trees and like the like hills.
Yeah.
Battles as beasts.
Right.
Yeah, like he's probably
I've
been
never
close
been in
enough.
the military, but I have an idea in my head that this is really normal with them. Like,
Right.
because people start the military when they're really young, and so I feel like there's
Oh, with the whorehouse and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
and I feel like people that like seek out the military sometimes aren't socially adjusted, and it's very possible they're virgins to a late age.
So can we talk about this scene though when
Which
he's
scene?
when he's with the prostitute, when he's with the fake Thecla?
Oh, after
Right.
he's met the. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm in our version it's 65, and it might be for a lot of people's versions here.
Yeah.
So okay, so he has this conversation with her, right? And he's like, he's talking. He's kind of discerning that she's not real, and so he says like, "You are not the Chatelaine Thecla.
Right.
What am I doing here with you?" And he says, there was surely more in my voice than I had intended. She turned to face me, the thin cloth of her gown sliding away from her breast, whatever. I saw fear flicker across her face, as though directed by a mirror. She must have been in this situation before. It must turn out badly. I am Thecla if you want me to be. This is like, this turns like so hard here. Like this becomes so violent, and that it like escalates too, like throughout the whole next page. I don't know, we don't have to like read
She's
all of it,
threatening to bring in the guards.
Right, and then he says there is none.
but
and
then
yeah.
he says no, there aren't any guards, and he's like, I could do anything, and he's saying like, I can kill you right now. This is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And
Like,
he's a torturer.
yeah, and he's a
Well,
torture.
this
She
is
knows he's a
right
torturer.
after he became captain of the apprentices, and like as he's sitting there realizing, oh, now I'm captain of the apprentices, I have to beat up everyone.
Well, yeah,
right,
he has
related
to rule.
to that.
He's like, I have to rule by fear.
And he like literally, whether it was Draught or Roche or whoever, like he like punches him in the head, or no, knocks his head on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knocks
Like-
his head against the ground
like
multiple times.
6 times.
Like
Yeah,
hits
it's
him.
crazy.
He beats the shit out of like his childhood friend.
Yeah.
Like this guy is a
He's like,
sociopath.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Totally.
he's violent. Like he's totally violent, and crazy, and he's here. He says, "I raised my hand," like and continuing the scene. The next thing is he's so angered that she's not the real Thecla, that he's like getting ready to strike her, right? And then this whole scene happens, and you know she kind of like dispels the energy and just try to keeps it.
Yeah, you
keeps
see
it
what a
going.
professional she is, you know, the way it de-escalates pretty quickly too.
The last line is, "No," I said, and took her head between my
Yeah.
hands. What's going on there?
So
Blowjob.
it could be anything. You think so?
Yeah,
I thought
she's
that.
kissing his thighs.
I thought that too.
So.
But like
It
it's
would seem to
also-
follow.
Is it not described?
After all of that, it's weird. Now that like
Does
Kim's
it not
pointed that out.
seem violent? Like,
Yeah, it's still like dominant.
Oh, definitely.
like because we know Severian now.
Yeah.
Like we know Severian.
He likes
we've
to
read
strangle
it.
people.
Right. Like he could just snap her neck at that point. Like
Probably.
he doesn't say.
I don't think he's violent because of anger here.
I don't know. I mean,
I think he's just saying that I can. And,
He's
like,
just
and
flexing.
realizing himself that like, oh, I could just kill this person.
but the vibe I got when I reread it this time was that there was there was violence there. That was what I got, and I was just curious if anyone
Definitely
else
violent.
got that.
Or at least like the possibility of violence hangs over every action he does.
Right. Yeah.
In other people's
Right.
eyes.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's the big story about the only person that ever came to St. Catherine's Day Feast was that guy who came on
Yeah.
a bet and ended up shooting his fucking self in the head later.
Yeah.
Like, that is how people see the torturers.
Yeah.
Anything that he does, someone else is going to read
Yeah.
as potentially being a gruesome, like grisly, gory moment.
I think maybe that starting to be trained as a torturer at the age of 5 might fuck you up.
It's very possible.
I think that could be hard to go through.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. You have to get used to people getting flayed
Yeah, exactly.
around you.
What an interesting read of this book.
I have some wine.
Yeah, there's tons of it.
I would open this new box. I have to take the bag out of this one right now.
Oh boy.
Wait, but so that was chapter 8. So we just like skipped.
We
We
jumped
skipped
Yeah,
so much shit
yeah.
to go there.
I was just there
Yeah.
because we were on the.
Oh yeah, and Borges.
It was a good place to start.
Yeah, we totally skipped. Yeah.
There's so much.
I'm down for like kind of going through it.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Holy Feast of Saint Catherine is in November. I think it's like, well, the Catholic. I looked it up. It's like the 23rd or something. Just to let you know, this is our Saint Catherine feast.
Oh yeah,
Oh, Pringles and box.
that's what we got going
We
on.
got mad Pringles.
Got mad Pringles for sure.
So the first thing that happened was the astronaut picture.
Yeah. Crazy.
That guy.
Yeah. Okay. So
We get like this really
Yes.
solid illustration of that, like this world is squinting back to us and seeing nothing, like comprehending nothing.
Yeah.
This is our world.
Post technology.
I want to look up those other 2 pictures that are described.
yes.
in
So
What are they?
there.
so may I read? I'm looking at them right now. He's always looking at different stuff. Maybe this is what you're talking about, Connor. It might be another thing, but it's similar. So he says, many of these were so old and smoke-grimed that I could not discern their subjects, and there were others whose meaning I could not guess. Here's what it is. A dancer whose wings seemed leeches, A silent-looking woman who gripped a double-bladed dagger and sat beneath a mortuary mask. Whoa, what are those? Do we know? Like, yeah.
I feel like there must be something
It's-
referring to something.
Like famous paintings.
There's not enough.
Something.
There's not enough clues.
Resembling leeches is so
Yeah.
like.
You don't hear
that's-
that one.
That has
That's
to be like
impenetrable. Like I can't figure
that
out.
has
what
to be
that even-
so like it has to be reducing what is actually in the picture by so much. Like there has to be something like much different going on in this picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the astronaut is so abstract,
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like the gold visor, I think, is the thing. that makes
Right.
it
But
really-
you can still like
The band.
you can still imagine it, and then if your brain like puts them together, you're like, oh, it's like that, you know. And then I think that this time when I read it, I felt like the picture cleaner, I think that he knew what the picture was of. I think he knows
think
what the
so.
picture
Yeah.
is.
He has a better
and he like
idea.
kind of described it. So I think
'Cause
that's
he's like,
more
that's Earth there,
Yeah.
like over his shoulder.
Right.
that's more obvious. Like I don't know.
And they talk about the moon too. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, the moon used to look that way before
Did
it was
I have about the
irrigated.
moon? I forgot all that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so they're really explicit about the green moon, and I think it's an
Oh,
That's
and
closer
the
to
moon's
Earth
yeah,
now?
moved closer.
Yeah, and that I missed until this reading. Yeah, it's like, and it doesn't, it looks smaller then than it does now. Okay.
Imagine
Okay.
if the moon were huge and green.
Yeah.
And covered in trees. It would be beautiful. I would love it.
I
I mean,
You
it's
already
good now.
love
it.
It's good now.
Oh, you know what? The other thing that that I had forgotten until this what I was reading today is just the reality of like the sun dying and it just being like dark all day.
Yeah, at
You
one
can
point
see
he
the
says the
stars in
sky
the-
is closer to. I think when he's talking about the picture, like the sky is closer, even in the middle of day. It's
On the
closer to
brightest
black
day,
than
it's
blue.
yeah.
He says something like that.
It's in
Oh, yeah.
his dream that he has when he's drunk at
yeah.
the end, at the very end.
So when the sun is in the middle of day, it's still dark.
Yeah,
It's kind of dark all the time.
yeah.
And that's one of the only
I
places
just had
I feel like
forgotten.
where they're very explicit.
I had forgotten about that entirely. Just of how fucked the sun was.
All right, can I ask another question? So in this hallway, two armigers are like walking up, right?
Yeah.
And they're dressed in bright clothes, and they're tall, but they're not as tall as exultants. What is an armiger? Like,
They're
yeah.
like
They're kind of lower, right?
Well,
But they're still pretty cool.
so there's like this hierarchy.
There's, like,
Exultants are on
armigers.
top,
Yeah.
then armiger.
A social
Yes.
class below exultant and above optimate.
Oh,
Okay.
A
So it's pretty
fighting
good.
class similar to that of the samurai.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's kind of what I got.
Feudal Japan.
Cool.
In the appendix of the second book, the armigers seem much like exultants, though on a lesser scale. Their name indicates a fighting class, but they do not appear to have monopolized any major roles in the army. No doubt their position can be likened to that of the samurai.
Right.
Like-
So it goes optimate,
cool.
armiger,
Honored fighter.
That's
exultant.
really
Okay.
awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So just a fighting class.
So then, I guess we don't know, but is it hereditary? Or do you just like kind of find your way there?
Well, it's a
Seems
class.
hereditary-ish. Real. Yeah.
And these are, like,
the exultants are.
Above soldiers. These guys are
Hereditary.
soldiers. They're
Yes, it
class
is.
into themselves.
Yeah.
Different than.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I
Arms
asked that question.
Well, no, I'm.
I
I'm
think I know why I asked the
I'm
question.
feeling like maybe it feels
'Cause it's
like Russia
confusing.
to a degree in this. When you were talking about, it's not exactly aristocracy, but it's wealthy arms dealers' kids, I was thinking, it made me think of what Russia is like right now.
Yeah. So I was just reading the optimate and exultant, but it says under exultant, it says the class of highborn people. Exultants are ironically taller than the common folk in the Earth cycle, and although they are renowned for their ancient lineage, Jonas suggests that they are the most recent to arrive on Earth, so they would appear to be descendants of invaders from space.
They're very tall.
so that the height would be probably part of that.
It seems they're like he's obsessed with height, like exultant, then armigit, then optimate, then a regular person, and this
But
is
like, that's how you would be able to tell people's class, I guess. So then it would probably instantly become the most like important thing about you.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like it's a class and height, and also like who you are.
And
too.
also how
Right,
you
because
dress.
it says
Like
this.
your
And how
colors,
you
the kind of colors he would say, like,
Yeah.
oh, like he's kind of garish. He's like this kind of guy.
Yeah, Armiger is wearing this bright clothing. Like it seems like sort of, like kind of, I don't know. Yeah, maybe garish.
Yet the distinction must be made between exultant status and exultant blood. All exultants have exultant blood, but not all those people with exultant blood have exultant status. When Severian uses the term true exultant, he signals that this character in question is a member of the exultant class, whereas when he uses a simple exultant or tall, he's commenting on exultant blood rather than class. This is important in that there seem to be plenty of impoverished families of exultant blood, allowing Severian to reasonably suppose that the tall prostitutes of the House Azure are local girls,
right.
along with the maid who plays the role of Catherine.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
and like Master Groves talks about how there's like he gives an actual number for how many families of exultants there are. And
yeah, is that
and he says
in that
like
book,
it's like when he's talking to Severian about sex stuff among other things, but he's basically like, yeah, there are like so few exultant families, and a lot of them are just like nothing at this point, and the ones that are something are in this book over here, and then only a few of those families even send their daughters as concubines.
And I exterminated some of these lines myself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and then he laughs, and then Severian is forced to laugh with him.
Yeah.
Is he forced to?
Sort of. I mean, he says like the master laughed, and I laughed with him. Not like, I don't know. There was like he was following the lead.
So down the page from the scene that I just described, like Racho, the painting cleaner, is talking to him, which is a cool conversation in and of itself. And he's like waiting, and then at some point, Severian says this thing where he says, like one of those half-spiritual friends who in dreams address us from the clouds. The old man said, so you're a torturer, are you? And just like that one line, like one of those half-spiritual friends who in dreams address us from the clouds?
Is that talking
Is that a
about,
regular thing? Is that like, I don't know what he's talking about. A half-spiritual
what's that
friend.
fucking word of what
addresses.
Malrubius is?
Aquasters?
Oh yeah, Aquaster.
That's what I think he's like,
Yeah.
because we've seen this happen, right? Has what?
Well, the part where Malrubius comes to him is after that, but.
When
Oh,
he's
right.
drunk.
But
Except when he's
feel like-
drowning.
Yeah, when he's drunk.
Oh no, he comes
Yeah.
to. Oh no.
Malrubius,
Someone-
yeah, he talks
Yeah,
about
he comes
seeing
to him and-
Malrubius then.
He comes
he's
into his
drowning.
room
Yeah.
too.
Well, they also mentioned that
But that's
Master
after
Gurlos
that.
spends a lot of time on the roof, like
Oh.
drinking, and on the roof of the tower
Oh,
talking
talking
to
to
No,
the-
no, that I think he's talking to the fucking autarch with like a radio.
Oh, I think he's talking to the computer.
I mean, like he's talking to he's talking
That's-
to like a machine. He's,
I mean,
not,
I
he's
took-
not in on the roof. He's like in the tower.
Right. But I mean, I took it as that. I took it that he was having some kind of like actual communication with somebody. But,
Right.
But then
These are regular.
But also
These are
that
there's
like
pizza.
voices from the class things. I mean, it's spiritual to some people. Like some people view whatever Master Girls is doing as this kind of like supernatural thing, and so it's I don't know. It seems like it would maybe be connected to something like that.
He also, like, he's writing this. The whole book has happened to him when he's writing this.
Right.
He's several times mentioned that he's going to betray the guild. He is going to be autarch. Like, he's already told us those things. So we
Right.
don't have to wait for it to happen.
Yeah, it's like
for it to do it.
he assumes that we are aware of.
His reputation
Yeah,
preceding
we're
He is the most important man in the world.
Paid douche. In chapter 5, we learned that rats write and speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. They're crude characters.
Well, that reminded me of the bear thing with like
Yeah, he licked
Licking
his
the-
arm back to life.
Are you? I don't. Maybe we're not looking at the same place though, Ryan.
It's
Because
in
I,
the library.
I remember in the library, yeah, he's looking in the stacks and he sees like rat shit smeared. And he's like, oh, that's the characters of their speech.
Yeah, I saw evidence that the rats had been nesting among the books,
Yeah.
rearranging them to make snug 2- and 3-level homes for themselves, and smearing dung on the covers to form the rude characters of their speech.
Yeah.
They have a written language that they write in shit.
Their own
and they
shit.
speak it as
Yeah.
well.
It's amazing.
That's just one sentence.
Yeah.
And has really no bearing on any other thing.
Oh
But I wrote it down.
It's-
So I was like,
It is
I
exciting.
think it's very important because, like, animals, I don't think that we should think about of animals as anything that we think of,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
know of as animals.
Right.
every
Right.
single
Way to
one
say
is
that,
wrong.
but-
And or his understanding of rat shit is just different. He says it so casually, but to us it's like, what? Wait, well, really? Like, what do you mean? Like, is that a figure of speech on his part, or is that literally
I want to
what
take
he
it literally
knows?
because
That's how I read it.
they're actually like changing the books. They're like building with the books. I think that's like
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they always said like New York City has rats like the size of alligators, and I mean, how
What?
these ones, like they said in
Oh.
the Sea Wars they grew humongous and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They might be big here.
probably really big.
Gene Wolfe also loves talking animals.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah.
But like, when you're reading Longson, eventually, like at first you're like, ooh, this is a special talking animal, and then I feel like by the end of the book, you just assume
That's
that
what they
every
fucking
animal is
do.
going to be able to talk.
Is this the chapter where they tell the story of the golden book that makes you a librarian?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
That you
a little
find
bit-
that
a
you
little bit
find
later.
as a child or whatever.
Yeah, if you find that one book, then you're
Yeah.
going to be a librarian.
I love
The
that.
one where you're like, this is exactly what happened to me until the golden book part.
And not only
Why didn't I find it? I did all of that.
not only are you going to be a librarian, but you're kidnapped.
Yeah.
And forced to become a librarian.
You will become a
Well,
librarian.
it kind of because that's kind of what the torturers do too.
Right.
You know, like it makes me wonder if that is just what happens
How
in this
this world
culture.
works.
Is that children do not live with their families. Children get a job and they live with their job.
I mean, that hasn't been unusual in human history. So.
And it might be a good fucking idea.
It does
Get
seem
'em out
like
of
the
there.
level of care and ritual that everyone invests in this
Yeah.
makes for a more, I don't know, exciting life.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess it would depend because, like, what if you were the librarian? What if you were like Sybee or how do you say his name? And you're just like following this old man around, like
Yeah.
you're like in your 40s
Yeah.
probably, and you're like, fuck, I just.
I love it when he's calling Simon. He's like, Simon! Come, Simon.
And he's this completely useless person, but who is just like is the library.
Yeah.
And will be the next, like, master curator. Like,
Yeah.
all he has to do is follow this old guy around until he dies.
I know.
Yeah, and Oltan
Oh, yeah,
is
you got
talking,
milk.
telling a story about how he reads so much, and Sybee's like, "Ooh, fantastic, sir." You know, like,
Yeah, he has every
Marvelous,
single thing
yeah,
that
marvelous.
Wilson says already memorized.
I bet
marvelous.
this
sir.
guy has 7 stories, and like he tells, and like maybe gets to tell them like 4 times a year, but then he like rolls them all out, and Sybee's like, all right, here's the story.
Now it's time. I bet Sybee wishes he could be spending his time reading every book in the library instead
Yeah.
of just following Old Town.
He doesn't even turn on the lights,
Yeah.
right? He brings that lamp and then sends it with Severian and goes
He
off
goes
into the
in
library
there.
in the
He's
dark
in
because he knows exactly where the book is.
Right.
Which is so cool.
I bet Sybee doesn't even like books. I bet he doesn't even give a shit.
That was an interesting thing. There's a point where Oltan or Severian asks for what he's like. What is this book about? And Oltan's like,
He's like, I
why
don't
would you
know."
ask a librarian that? Like, I only care about taking care of the book. But then he tells him what's actually in it.
Yeah, he's like, why would I know? Just kidding, I know.
Yeah, he's like, that's not my business, but I do know it.
Like
Yeah.
read for 40 or more years.
Yeah,
Probably
just
more.
like infinitely reading.
Wait, do they say that he's taller than Severian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oltan is.
So is
and
Thekla.
in fact, he describes Oltan as a true exultant.
Oh, he does?
He actually uses those words. Yeah, he says a true exultant.
It's a
Thekla is
verified
7
position.
feet tall.
What?
Thekla is 7 feet tall.
That's really hot.
Oh my
You said
god,
that's
the way
hot.
she dies.
It's not that scary.
It's shocking every time.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so shocking. It's,
You mean what? You mean how that she kills herself, or you mean the whole like revolutionary thing?
the revolutionary?
Yeah, it's
when
terrifying.
they explain
Ugh.
the revolutionary, it is such a. It was so great we ended there, because that I definitely felt done after hearing about the true functioning of their torturous devices.
And the whole tour leading up to it, like, we're just going to take you through a tour of these torture devices.
And they're all
Come on, look at this
antiquated.
one.
We don't even use them. They're old. And then the thing that they end up using turns out to be more hideously, technologically, like, brutal than anything I could have myself imagined.
So
Yeah,
what does it
bad.
do again? What
It
is?
puts a demon in her that hates her, so she tries to destroy herself.
That's what. And
And
that's
it's supposed
what
to
they
last
do
a
to her?
month, like around a month. That you
Well,
just like
you
try
can
to slowly start
survive
tearing
it,
your
yeah.
face off.
It makes her
Oh.
suicidally
Right,
depressed.
right.
And then her
Thumbing
hands,
her eyes
unless she like concentrates on them, they will just start attacking her, gouging her, choking her. She's pulled all her hair out when he goes to give her that knife. She's pulled big chunks of it out.
Yeah.
And she's getting tired because she's getting her ass kicked, and so
Yeah.
it's harder for her to kill herself.
It gets harder and harder.
and also harder for her to resist killing herself. And so,
But are you allowed to-
about a month, you'll eventually succeed finally in killing yourself.
In killing.
They must be feeding her.
Because you kind of just like, I think you just like kind of start melting probably.
I feel like they must be force feeding her. If her body is against her survival, that means they're force feeding, which is, we're in fucking Gitmo now.
Intravenous kind of stuff, probably.
Yeah, they were force feeding Gitmo people with a tube down their throat to try to get them to break hunger strike.
Yeah, Severian definitely is fucked up and comes from a fucked up background.
He had a weird childhood.
Oh, something, and I don't know what this means, but something that made me think about how he's fucked up is he's talking to Thekla when she mentions Thea, and he says, "Oh yeah, I've seen your sister," but he doesn't think about when he actually saw her sister. He thinks about the clone whore in the whorehouse. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your sister." That's crazy. That like what occurs to him is a whore clone rather than the
I guess
actual
it's the
person
most
who he
recent-
has.
in most recent time, but that is very. You're right, but
He doesn't think about that time he saw the actual person at all.
no. He like mentioned he was like, no, I saw her in the necropolis. She sounded like a dove.
Right, but that's not what goes through. Like it's
Well,
specifically, he only says
he
that
is
in the words
reminded.
he says. He doesn't. His
He remembers
thought
her
doesn't go
though.
there.
He remembered that she sounded like a dove.
He just loves to say that.
He doesn't.
It's that dove description.
Yeah. He was the third
Most
one.
of the things he says to other people are kind of shocking because they don't reflect.
They don't
the
make
internal
any
dialogue.
sense
Exactly.
at all.
Exactly.
Like when he's talking to Thekla, I'm sorry, I'm like looping back at the end here again, creeping from both directions. But yeah, like the whole story he tells her of like, the idea passes through his head of like, yeah, I could save her, but she doesn't really like me that much.
Right.
Fuck me up.
Oh my god, that actually, I'm not going to talk
Totally.
about it, but there's something that happens that I read like last week because I'm reading Sword of the Lictor right now at the same time. And like that kind of like happens again, but I don't want to talk about
Yeah, where he like considers.
Why not?
Consider saving
it.
her.
Because, I
cross it
guess
off.
we've been jumping ahead. We've been jumping back and
I
forth.
think we're irrelevant. It's fine.
Okay.
I mean, the whole point is
So,
we've
like-
all read these fucking things a bunch of times.
After he's taken the Elzavo, and then he's talking to Dorcas about Thekla, and he was talking about how he was like, I had the chance to save her like a bunch of times,
Right.
and I was thinking about it, and then he says like Thekla starts screaming inside of my head,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about Thekla in his brain all the time.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
in this reading.
Yeah, it's neat where
Yeah.
you can see her in these early books.
He tells her he did the thing that he just thought and said he wasn't going to do in his brain. He
Yeah.
tells her that like, he did it. And then
Did what?
Which thing is this?
That he was going to like use a knife to overpower the guards and sneak her out.
Yeah.
Like he has that thought and dismisses it, and then later, and then like when he gives her the knife, he tells her the story of that thing he decided not to do as if he had actually done it, and then gives
Well,
her.
as he tells her that he thought about it, but that
Yeah.
he couldn't do it because it's so heavily guarded, and if I wanted to,
But that-
if I did, I would have had to kill
But when he talks about it the second time, when she's in his head, he says, like, he makes it sound like it would have been incredibly easy for him. And he says, like, the only reason I didn't do it is because I was still trying to figure out how I could do it and stay in the torturers.
Yeah. Which is it. Yeah, because you think if he really loved her and he was willing to lay everything down the line.
Doesn't he say this time, like, he says something like,
he fully expects that he'll be like executed for this.
Yeah, he says something like, I think it was this time that he says it.
No.
It's like about how, if I were like a hero in love or something, I would like totally be able to do it.
Yeah. Right.
But like he just doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Which, because of
he
course,
makes the
because
big
he's a
deal about her
sociopath.
saying that he's rather a sweet fellow. She's like, I knew even if I fucking put everything on the line for her, I'd still always just be
rather a sweet boy.
Totally.
Yeah, rather a sweet boy.
Totally.
Which
It's true.
also that now that we're at the end, after she's been kept up in this place, the last stuff that she talks about before she's getting tortured is about how she's gonna get out. And she's absolutely fucking bonkers. Like the things she's saying when that other girl's brought in.
Yeah, she's like I'm gonna
They don't make any sense. And that's when the sweet boy thing happens.
Right.
Which makes me think like Severian is treating one set of things she says like the ravings of a lunatic, which they seem like they probably are, but then he's treating the sweet boy stuff as if it's sound, solid decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
Or
in
an
a sense,
actual version.
in a sense, it is like if she's saying in one breath, like I'm about to get out of here, and then saying to the other lady, like he's rather a sweet boy, like she is in that framework of logic, like expecting to never like see him again. You know, like I'm about to get out of here, and like he's been nice. You know what I mean? Like I think she, like in that sense, like she does mean that.
Yeah. And he takes it as being like a denigration of him.
I mean, in a sense, in his world, it is because
He wants to be, you know, a stud.
right.
Well, how
and
old
it's like we
It's
have
like,
this special
oh, yeah.
relationship, and to her, it's like you're the best thing I got going until I get out of here and like build my chateau on Lake Diaturna. It's not like she's gonna take him with her.
Do we know how old he is? Is he like a late teenager?
Teenager.
Yeah, I think he's about 17 at this point.
Alright.
Right.
Yeah, so he is a sweet. I mean, he's not sweet, but he is a boy.
He's a boy.
He's got one of them down.
Yeah.
He's sweet to Thecla, sort of, because she's like in Gitmo.
He's sweet if you're out of your mind.
He's
required
I should
to,
wonder if he is at all sweet to her. I think that Severian is lying
I
to
don't
us
think so.
constantly, and that he might just go in there and rape her all. I don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
They like also he's required to as part of his job to talk to her because they're like consenting and giving her requests, and so they're saying, okay, you're permitted to go in and talk to her. He's not doing it on his own.
Well, and he's
too
also a
rich to
teenage
straight
boy, like talking to like a beautiful woman, and he's like a complete moron.
Well,
Over whom he has absolute power.
Right. I mean, that's like pretty appealing to him, I think.
Well, he doesn't have the ability to like just go around talking to their inmates there, right? Like he's being permitted access.
Well, exactly.
He
He's
gets
not
yelled at.
supposed
He's
to.
not
But so
supposed
it's not
to
like
even
they're
act like he
forcing
can
him to
hear
do
them.
it.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to even talk, but because
Under
she
threat of being made deaf.
she's requested it, and they're trying to act, I guess, somewhat more sensitively with her because of who she is.
Well, I think
They're
that's
permitting that.
that thing that rule has to do with like the things they say while being excruciated, like
Yeah, but they're not.
not just.
I mean,
in
but I think that
general.
it goes back to they're not even supposed to talk to that. They're not supposed to have any casual conversation.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, yo, send that pizza tube this way.
Pizza.
Yeah, I want to try that.
What are the other flavors?
Got sour cream and onion and original or open right
As
now.
well as ranch and cheddar and sour.
I'm gonna pop that ranch if you don't.
Wait. Does anyone want to say
Ranch is pretty
anything
popular, I
else
think.
about Fulton?
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, he's the most badass
Sorry,
also
but
dude.
it's so cool.
Yeah, let's
And
go
he's
there.
like the
He's
ultimate
pretty cool,
art handler.
right? I would like to be him.
I feel Rudison is the ultimate art handler.
Yeah, he is. No, he's a conservator.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but they're all curators, right?
Yeah, but that word is not. Anyway.
But that's like their
Their
guild
title. Yeah.
thing.
Okay, my favorite
Umbrella.
thing that Old Hand says is no. I mean, the library itself extends beyond the walls of the Citadel. Nor, I think, is it the only institution here that does so. It is thus the contents of our fortress are so much larger than their container. So you go into the library and it's bigger than the space that you're in, right? So this is just a Wolfian thing, like,
Well, I think that has subspace connections
Right.
to like the House Absolute.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you can walk through a door and now you're in a different geographical place entirely.
Well, and that seems to hold with like, I mean, like when he's going through the tunnels and the idea that somehow he does possibly visit the House Absolute as a child.
But and there's echoes of that in the cube that contains more
Yeah.
books
Yeah.
than the entire library itself,
Yeah.
but can be suspended from.
The crystal or
It's
whatever.
a flash drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's a fucking
It's
silicon.
Gene Moore's flash drive.
It's silicon.
It's like EPUB.
It's a super
on a-
flash drive.
It's a torrent.
It's just an iPod. It's something like that.
Yeah, totally.
That's
I mean,
what
that's,
he-
like,
that's what he's describing.
I think that's not. I mean, when's Gene writing this? Like
1980.
80s?
He had some idea that data
Yeah,
was
like
stored on
70s.
computers and
Yeah.
that they would get smaller over time. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He's
Silicon.
an engineer, you know.
Yeah.
Versus
He's
it's a
down
crystal.
engineering
He knows what's up.
stuff.
He has ideas.
What else does Old Town do? I didn't take a lot of notes on this.
I like the bit where like he keeps trying to tell Ultan through like sly, like, oh, the color of my guild is fulgent and stuff, trying to tell him he's a torturer, and then the moment where Ultan's like, oh,
wait.
you're a torturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait,
Yeah.
what does he say? What is the? I can't remember what it is.
There's like a moment of silence.
like-
They're like talking. What does Severian say to?
It's Saibi that says it's Saibi starts reading the letter and he's like, from the fucking
yeah.
torturer.
Yes, that is what it is.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me
you a
tell you
torturer?
about my guild for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then he goes into his guild.
But then he says-
that letter is so funny. I really liked that. Like,
How
I like
the
how he signs
language of it.
off. It's
yeah,
really
the
good.
sign off is so good. Where let me see if I.
Give me a page.
Yeah, let's find it.
46 in mine, but I'm not the one with that.
46?
Yeah,
I think
that-
our pagination is all the same.
Is it?
Could it be?
Probably.
We all have the
Could it?
two buttons.
I have it on
Well, the
45.
letter is happening on 45.
Yeah.
The bottom of 45.
Yeah, where he signs it, Gerlos, master of the honorable order commonly called the Guild of Torturers.
Yeah.
And his letter's like almost inscrutable. Like by the will of a court we have in our keeping the exalted person of the Chatelaine Thecla, and by its further will you would furnish to the Chatelaine Thecla, and by its further will we would furnish to the Chatelaine
Which is
Thecla
so
in her confinement such comforts as lie not beyond reason and prudence.
Completely unnecessary.
Like, yeah, like why didn't you just say the same sentence twice, Gerlos? Like,
No, but that's great
Dean
though.
Knowles
That's
is a crazy Catholic.
It's
their.
He's a crazy what?
crazy
Catholic.
Catholic.
He's like an old-timey kind of Catholic.
But it's just like official professional like language and rhetoric.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, you still see letters like that written between like different departments of like like
deeds.
various.
Or
When you buy a
bureaucracies,
house,
or when
it's
you're doing,
yeah.
like,
it's
Oh my
exactly
god,
like
yeah.
that.
The
deed,
deed
like,
is
yeah.
like 18th century like old English. There's like fucking U's and words and like
Yeah,
E's
you
at the
have
end
to
of
do
stuff.
contract stuff where it's sometimes with vendors, and it's always like
Yeah.
you have to use shall a lot.
Yeah.
the word shall.
No, the deed for my house has a street name going back to like through the through the ages. Like there's 3 different street names listed, which used to be, you know.
Whoa.
It's just like that.
Are they good names?
No, it's Westfield now, and it was like Westphalia at one point, and then it was like,
Ooh.
which is
I am
it's an
arguing.
West
improvement,
Valley is
but
pretty
yeah.
It's in case like an ancient person comes upon these
Right.
documents
Oh,
so that they
no
can
shit.
make
Yeah,
sense
here
of
we
them.
are. Right.
Yeah.
I like how they
Probably.
talk about DNA being like a fractal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a cool conversation.
In the drachm of
Exactly.
Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Exactly. Well, because
Right.
he reads this, he opens the
Oh,
book
this
and
is
it
the
says,
Mozart thing.
That's a cool
by
part.
which means a picture might be graven with such skill that the whole of it, should it be destroyed, might be recreated from a small part, and that small part might be any part, and that's like the hologram.
Wasn't often.
And then
This part also.
and then he's like, if you just eat like the pinky, you get like the whole
Yeah.
personality.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's like, you know, he's like,
He's like, you should have been a
Doesn't it
philosopher.
kind of
Yeah.
feel like the whole Lot episode in the Bible, when he's like, what if there's 10,000 righteous people? What if there's
Oh,
just
right.
100 righteous
Yeah.
people? What if there's just 50?
yeah.
Like, doesn't it kind of feel like that? What if I eat just a toenail clipping?
Yeah. A toenail. Chew on a
Well,
toenail.
and the fact that it is contained, like even in the figure is that's a very interesting, actually like not super Catholic idea. I feel like this,
Every sperm is sacred.
that's true.
Every sperm is great.
But like,
They didn't talk about sperm.
the idea of embodiment and like the body being the sort of like integrate, like not just a vessel for the spirit, but integrated with it is a more like Jewish idea.
When I was hanging out with those nutso Catholics that Allison was with, the body being sacred is a big weird thing with them. And I think that's the kind of Catholic that Gene Wolfe is. They're very, very excited about the body being a sacred thing.
That's it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just.
I don't know who else does it
Okay.
besides.
Well, maybe it's
the
because they grew up
Anglophiles that
Protestant,
do.
where it's a much more like duality. Like this world is not the real
Yeah.
world, and so everything like your body is not actually important.
I think it's a way more Protestant.
So like how
Yeah.
Jewish people won't get tattoos and stuff like that. They're very
Right.
That's
and-
not really, that's a slavery
That's
thing.
what,
okay.
well, and then and but there's also the
So is- yeah.
when, like Jewish burials are really specific about
Yeah.
how they work because the body has to decompose in order for the spirit to like get released from it.
There's also all those crazy there's all these crazy prayers that are like there's this one I wish I had memorized the text of this one, but it's like a paragraph long and it's like praise be to God who like and then it goes into like creating the human body with all of its like closings and openings and like and it's like this like insane description of like how complex the human body is. It's like a real weird. It's pretty. That one's a good classic.
Classic prayer.
It's a good classic from Hebrew school. I wish I knew the name of that so I could look it up. I'll find it one day. But it's just like, blessed be God because like sphincters.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
It's
they're
good, it's
important.
pretty good.
They keep the shit in.
I know, but I'm saying like most religions don't have a sphincter prayer as far as I know.
That's so
It's pretty good.
I bet you the Romans did at some point.
Yeah.
They're like,
They probably had a
be
couple.
God who
Weirdly
allows me to
specific.
puke when I
Is there,
drink way
is
too
there-
much.
is there like a minor god of the hearth that like takes care of your sphincter?
Yeah, I don't know. I found out. I discovered the goddess of bad smells.
Oh,
more
hell
is in
yeah.
Atlanta.
Oh yeah, you told me like.
Yeah, I texted you right away.
How did you discover this is digressive, but I'm curious.
I forget exactly what I was looking up some word, and it was based on this goddess's name, Mephitic, I think it maybe the
yeah.
word.
Good name.
And I don't remember where I encountered it.
Back to the book.
Yeah, please.
At the very end of chapter 6, the last thing he says when he's leaving, since it seems like you guys nobody has anything actually that we want to say about Alton for now.
Cool.
Besides like how great he is.
He is great, and he is.
It
gorgeous.
says, I gathered up the books and hurried along, though I did not know it, to meet my destiny and eventually myself in the Shadowland Thekla.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's another
Oh, yeah.
call back to
Fuck
like,
yeah.
I am Thekla.
Yeah, totally.
Which I
Totally.
think is cool. Because like
It's
when
so
you
cool.
first read it, you're like, oh, I find myself in my lover or whatever. But it's like, no,
Fuck no,
I
yeah.
am Thekla and I'm finding myself
I'm here. Let me out.
in myself.
Help me!
I'm gonna find myself in myself.
I'm
Yes.
trapped in this torturer's body.
This guy sucks.
Yeah, imagine being trapped in Severian's head. Imagine you're this like flowy, fabulous woman, and then you're trapped in Severian's body. You're like,
Get me out of here.
This guy's
All
misogynist.
right.
Oh no.
Ranch ones.
There's a weird description.
Dude, these are
of her eating a leek.
I just opened the last one because they were all open.
I also want to talk about the Masters at some point.
Oh, hell
I
yeah,
think
talk about the
both-
fucking
Wait,
both
wait,
of
what
them
word
are-
are we
We
gonna
love
say,
those
Ryan?
words.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I was just saying there's a part where she's eating a leek when he meets that
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
girl. It's real weird.
oh yeah.
The first meal he brings.
That made
to
me
her.
think
What?
of
Yeah,
Alien
when they
Thing.
first
She like
meet.
drops it down her throat.
She
That-
deep throats a leek
Yeah.
in front of him. That's
That
like,
made me.
Wait,
oh,
wait, do you know
I
where
was
that
thinking
is?
That's like a phallic like thing. Like
Their relationship,
And when
chapter
he
seven.
first meets
the
her,
way they
Chapter
flirt with each other
They're
is
so freaked
insane and
it's so
unsettling.
fun. Yeah,
It's when he's like sitting on her bed and she's like, she's like, I don't have any refreshment that I can offer you. Do you want some of this garbage food? You just
Right,
brought?"
right.
And he's like, no, this is fine. I'll eat the same food
Exactly.
later. And then she like is fidgeting with the food and then she just drops a leek down her throat.
Like
Okay.
That's how it's described.
like a
actually-
mountebank swallowing a viper.
which is
Oh,
amazing.
Right.
That made me think about
Oh, yeah, you found it.
the fact that exaltants are aliens, and that made me think that
Oh.
maybe there's something else weird about them.
I
that we
think
don't
that
know.
that's totally
Oh,
true.
yeah.
I think that because the what are they called, the aliens,
Hyrule.
Pacos?
the Hyrule
Hyrule
are super tall too.
maybe that's just like the way she regularly eats. Like,
I think she's
Well-
totally flirting with him
you think she's
about deep throating.
But
yeah,
like,
trying to
you
put
can't
something
do
on with
that.
him.
Like we couldn't do.
Some people
You
You gotta
think
get rid
that?
of your gag reflex.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah. Some people.
Oh,
do.
okay. Never mind.
And then later on in that conversation, she has the line, "Oh, torturers get meat. That's the difference."
That's
Which I
dreadful.
think is a weird flirt. And then later on, he tries flirting with her, and his flirt is when she's talking about it. And then I realized that my nurse was just saying that to me because I said it to her a couple of months ago.
Oh,
And it's like, well, then she was right to trust to trust that information because she had a trustworthy informant. And it's like, you're so trustworthy. Is this flirt with
Yeah,
her?
and then she just like this. She just doesn't even acknowledge it.
Because who would recognize that as flirting?
Well,
Oh, you're so trustworthy.
well, I think she was probably. If somebody, that's a bizarre response. Though she has been talking to Severian for a while, so she's probably used to bizarre responses. So maybe she's just like, okay,
She's
Severian
also
said
been
something.
slowly going insane.
True. So yeah, maybe we should take it with a grain of salt, I suppose. But yeah, I read that as that she like immediately just like knew that was a flirt and was like,
What to
oh my
tap into?
God.
Yeah.
Ugh. Like, right? Because even if you like someone, if they say that to you, you're like, what? I don't know.
It's a creepy thing.
It's
He's a creepy man.
He's a creep.
A tall creep.
A tall creep.
Special kind of creep.
Yeah, but to her, he's
What's
short.
wrong with a tall creep?
Yeah, but he only
Say it was wrong.
no, he only comes up to her chin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not even.
He's not a
even
tall
taller.
creep to her. He's a little shorty creep.
He's a shrimp to her.
But that still means that he's like Michael Jordan's height.
He's 6'1".
Yeah,
No,
he's
he's
still
6'1".
Oh, he's 6. Okay, so she's not 7. Or I guess
No, she's 7 feet.
She's
It
7 feet tall.
says she, and in here it says she is no less than 6'11". It says like she's 6'11" at the least because she was like his height when she was 13.
That is an enormous person. That is so much
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
But like
That's way taller than
But if people
Connor.
get
It
shorter,
is.
like
And
how
I've only seen
short
one
do we
woman
think
who was
people
taller than me.
are?
It was horrible.
Do they say how? Do they ever talk about how short people are in relation to like how short they get now? You know, like if there's like a bunch of different classes, and so the highest one is only around like 7 feet tall, which isn't that much taller than the tallest person now, and like there are people that tall now, and that's with alien blood. So like people must be much at the bottom must be much shorter than they are.
Well, I feel like now being that tall is like really unusual. And
Right.
so even if you do have like a
Tall
family who
parents
are
or
like pretty tall, like chances are like if you're 7 feet tall, it's not like both of your parents were 7
But like
feet tall.
the
But that's
top
the case
guy
with them.
to the next guy is like an entire foot of difference, and that's a lot.
I could be wrong on this, but I believe that I'm trying to think of who he describes as being small. And I feel like it's Father Inire
Yes, it is.
and the Kumean, who are both aliens.
And what about
Oh, and
Dorcas.
Talos.
Dorcas must be tiny.
Talos.
Dorcas is small.
Oh yeah, Dorcas is small. Dorcas is small. And, so Dorcas is undead. Talos is some kind of fucking golem that Baldander's made. The small people are unnatural.
Yeah.
Just like in real life.
True.
Oh, no.
Come on now.
It's true.
Wolfpack's hard
I have a
stance on
soft
human
spot
life.
in my heart for this.
But I mean, it's better than being regular.
That is the worst thing you could do.
That's what I tell myself every day.
Are we at the feast yet?
We can be.
Sort of. Do we want to talk about Oltan more? Or
What about the
We've
master? Or Connor want to talk about masters earlier.
Oh, but that happens after the
Wait.
You could, that duck thing.
Sorry.
You guys.
Then you mean the second feast? We had the first one right at the beginning.
his own elevation.
Hey, wait.
That's way later. We haven't even gotten to that Gurlos thing. You guys don't want to talk about that passage? Gurlos is one of the
Yeah.
most complex men I've
Yeah, yeah.
known.
Oh no, that's the one that I want to talk about.
It like one of the best things we've got in
It's such
this
a
show.
wonderful
What I
description.
was saying while I was eating chips is that Connor, a couple minutes ago, maybe like 20 minutes ago, said that he wanted to talk about the masters, and before we moved on.
Right, yeah. Got
that.
it.
I love them
How do
both.
you do the ducks?
you look.
Well, they used to do in commercials in the old times.
Though my kind of
Yes,
Oh,
much
you
like
lied,
that.
right?
Yes.
You think that wasn't a line?
How did you do
So
that?
Gurlos
It's
is
hard to do for some reason.
Wait.
Girls is the one that's a smart man trying to pretend
Yeah,
like a simple.
such as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Gurlos is the main one that they talk about. Just Palaemon's like
They talk about him later, I think.
They don't even necessarily say or he doesn't say that he's a smart like man per se, as simply he's just a complex man.
Well, that's a good
yeah,
point.
I think it's
He's
like
a complex man
inferred-
who's worked his way back to seeming like a simple man in the same way that someone like the fake Chatelaine Thecla has put it on artifice to make herself seem like a refined person.
Right.
But
he
Palaemon is the one who's going to give him terminus est, right?
think so.
Yes, I guess. I forget.
Gurlo seems like an unconventional character. He's a guy that got into that position, but he's kind of eccentric, I think.
Well,
He is,
I mean, it
yeah.
seems like it's fucked him up pretty bad.
Is he the one who has the
drunk.
fake? Is he the one
I
who
now I
has
can't
the,
remember where
the
I got
dildo?
this idea that he was.
Is he
a
the one-
spy. I must have
yeah.
read that.
Gurlos?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
he's the
interesting.
one
I've
that
never
I
heard that.
think so.
I must have
Yeah.
read it online when I was like, because at one point I was like trying to dig into like
He's like a weird guy.
who the fuck is this
Seems
like
like not a bad
person on the
boss.
third level that he talks
guy you
to
want to
about
be your
weird
boss, you know,
shit
he's
they
flexible.
eavesdrop.
You're looking at the end of this chapter here, Jen?
Yeah, the part about girls.
Does he ever mention the Pelagic depths?
In this section?
No.
Because now my head is trying to convince me that he does say something about the pelagic argosy. At some point, he uses the word pelagic, I think.
Well, that's like later. That's like the weird catchphrase, password
But-
thing, right?
And again, I can't trust myself on this, but I feel like one of the masters uses the word pelagic not as a code word before you even find out that that's a code word. But I can't remember it. It's
Well,
just
now I
a-
want
a
to look back through this
shadow.
and figure that out because
There's-
that is interesting.
The end of that section that you're at, where he talks about he mispronounced quite common words.
Like
Or-
urticate.
Have you guys cracked that? Because in here it's like those are like those are probably 3 clues to his like.
Can we read that entry?
Have you
Yeah, I'll
ever
read it.
read Dubliners?
What time
Because
is
this is straight out of Dubliners. There's a,
Yeah, that one story where they
one of the
meet
first-
that one. Are you talking about the one where the 2 kids like meet that random guy on the hill?
Is that the same one as where the priest is dead? It's
No.
like the wake for the dead priest one.
Okay, I'm thinking of
He
something
talks
else.
about how, like really early in that story, this kid, the first 3 stories of Dubliners are from the point of view of children, and
Mm-hmm.
one of them is this kid who's a local priest has died, and he doesn't really have a family. I guess is the deal. The kid's family is hosting this wake for this priest.
Yeah.
And the kid has these, like, he talks about how, like, the priest said something weird and it reminded him of other weird words. And he throws out these 3 weird random words. I know one of them's gnomon.
Yeah.
One of them's
Oh.
simony.
Fave. Love that word.
Yeah. Simony is one of them too, or simoniac.
Sim-
And then
yeah.
I forget what the third word is.
Huh.
But
Yeah.
it turns out like they're the key to the story.
Like simony, like heresy?
Yeah, well, that's apparently that's what the story is about. Like the kid doesn't understand that the priest doesn't have other people because he's kind of like he's disgraced himself, and that simony is like the kid never understands it, so you never completely get the picture. But what I remember reading about that story is that like it's in those words. I guess simony is like he sells a cup or something from the church, and that's why.
Wait, what page of these are
Okay.
the words in
It's
question?
the very last.
It's the
words.
very end of that chapter.
Chapter
Give me a page
What
number.
chapter?
56.
56, okay.
Okay.
6.
In this, it says, the fact that he mispronounces the common words, and it says the words might indicate that these three terms are secret keys to his character. And then the
Oh.
secret words are bordereau,
Wine, yeah.
that's like the,
Boudreaux.
the like, that's like the, what do you remember? I can't think.
Looks whiny to me.
Boudreaux Golly.
Boudreaux.
A memorandum, in French, a memorandum, detailed statement, or schedule, in this case, a list of documents. And then it says history. The word was once heavy with associations of corruption and betrayal linked to the infamous Dreyfus treason case that convulsed France for a decade.
Wow.
Bordereau was internationally understood as meaning one thing only, the key document of the case, the secret plans that were allegedly drawn up by Dreyfus. Then, Salpinx.
Okay, so this is where you got your spy.
But I think I also read that somewhere.
Salpinx is a satisfying word to say.
It's
An
cute.
ancient Greek trumpet.
It's like a Pokemon.
The supposedly, the ancient history, it says an ancient Greek trumpet, and then anatomy, the supposedly trumpet-shaped eustachian tubes and fallopian tubes.
What's a eustachian tube?
In
It's
the
the thing that
ears,
connects
right?
your
Your
ear to
ear
your
to your
throat and nose.
So it's like an inner body tube.
Yes, it's the one that connects all this.
Cool.
Yes.
but also a trumpet.
Cool.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
And then what was the other one? Erdicate, which
It's when you pee very complicated and complex.
to sting as or like a nettle, to affect with a tingling pain or stinging sensation, or to flog with fresh stinging nettles, also to flagellate, whip.
So these are words common in their guild.
So that tells you
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
Right,
They're
yes.
all like torturer words.
Definitely.
They use
Trumpet?
these all the time.
No, you gotta fuck with those
The
tubes.
tubes.
Yeah, imagine they get up in those tubes.
Yeah. You're
You
gonna
fuck with those
Ah!
Yeah, fuck with some tubes in there.
But so, like, how do those three words go together, though? Like, you've got the,
He's a spy.
yeah.
He's listening.
Wait, what
like,
was
for-
Erdicate again? I can look it
In,
up.
in a,
And
in a
trumpet.
nasty way.
Yeah, and the
That's
trumpet's
true.
like for war, or going to battle.
Erdicate is
so
like to
his messages
whip, I
are-
think.
Man,
To-
I
to
wish
report
I
information
had
over
written
distance.
down where I found that.
Yeah, communication.
But then, also, he's fucking going up in the tower and talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah,
not-
who the fuck is he talking to? He's talking to
It-
somebody.
It, says he's talking to one person, right?
No, that's two different things. He's
Okay.
up in the tower
Yeah.
talking to. He's the only one in the guild. Master Palemon not accepted. So even including Palemon, he's the only one in the even Palemon doesn't go up to the tower.
Yeah.
Who is unafraid of the energies there, and this is at the top of the tower
And
above
the
gu-
unseen
Okay,
mouths
let me just start
spoke
over. Hang on.
sometimes to human
Sometimes
beings.
he went to the top of our tower above the guns and waited there, talking to himself, peering through glass said to be harder than flint for the first beams. He was the only one in our guild, Master Palemon not accepted, who was unafraid of the energies there and the unseen mouths that spoke sometimes to human beings and sometimes to other mouths in other towers and keeps. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously like a communication
Yeah.
system. So, like, the fact that he's the only one up there, including, like,
The other
the
guy.
other
The more
master.
venerable
Like
master.
he's the only one up there talking to people. That's obviously
But
like
it's also
kind
common
of shady.
knowledge. It's not. It's interesting that like oh
Yeah.
Well,
Well, how
because
do we
like
know-
everyone's afraid. It says.
right,
Everyone
but like
else is afraid of it.
So
but he's not even like really trying to hide it, or maybe it's just impossible to hide things in this place.
or maybe like you can't hide it, but you just perpetuate a myth about it.
Well.
So-
And he's kind of like neurotic and like
drunk.
tweaked out,
Yeah.
drinks too much, is obviously trying to hide something. He's obviously like trying to like simplify his personality to like fit into the situation. But then the thing you were talking about is Anne visited certain of our clients, including one on the 3rd level, to talk of things none of us eavesdropping in the corridor outside could understand.
Oh,
Which,
I was
like-
reading those two.
What?
Oh, also reads when no one thought when he thought no one knew of it. There was sneaking little glances at
Yeah.
other people's papers.
Well, maybe
He's
he's
just-
reading his own
He's
secret
just,
papers.
he's just reading, but he doesn't want other people to know he's reading.
Well, that's weird. That's
Yeah.
what
Well,
a
right,
spy
so
does.
yeah,
But like,
exactly.
I think that torturers don't read very much. I think that that's like a quirk. I think it's a personal quirk about
But
it.
it says
they are
read
supposed
when
to
he
learn
thought no
reading.
one. But
Yeah,
it says
reading.
read when he thought
Sure, but
no
like,
one
but
knew
just
of
to
it.
do their like documents.
As like leisure
and-
time, you're saying, yeah, like they don't.
Yeah, like leisure reading. I think.
But
that
I
they know
don't think
how
that
to
the
read.
torturers are like going to beat you up if they catch you reading. I don't
No,
think
But
there's any
he's
reason to
saying
hide that you're reading.
exactly. He's hiding
Yes.
that he's reading.
But like,
But that's because
like
the whole
because
artifice
he's trying
of
to
him.
blend in.
He's trying to seem really simple, but that's the whole point of what
But I
Severian's
mean, I
saying.
think I think if you're the master and you've got letters coming in, letters
Yeah.
going out, it's like no secret that you're like reading and writing.
He's
Yeah.
writing books.
That's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
He's like the master. He's not just like a journeyman.
And he's the one that sends Severian to the House Azure? Correct?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
I think he's totally getting
my
it. I think the
God.
autarch is like, this is the girl. Send him in. I think
Oh,
that it's totally...
and also when
Yeah.
when fake Thecla comes in, the dude is like, "Oh, this is your girl," and he says, "I don't remember saying anything." I was thinking that was his reaction.
autarch.
That he
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
his reaction was so like, "Oh, it's her," that made it happen. But now I'm thinking maybe he was just like, "All right, go on now."
That is interesting. Yeah, I thought that was just kind of picking up, like the guy showing the women was just like,
Yeah.
this is the one you want. You know, like he can
But
kind
he
of
said
see
it before
in
he
his-
said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Severian didn't see anything, but I read it as if the guy like recognized in his
The guy
face
did,
and
yeah,
body
the autarch.
language.
Yeah.
Was the autarch showing the women?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
that's
Okay.
the autarch.
That guy, that autarch guy, was like. but with that in mind, now I understand why you're saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the way I read it was
Interesting.
he was like, "Oh, this is the lady you want." You know, he could see it on his face, like Severian was like, "Grr." You know.
I also wonder if he's not an alien.
Which he?
I'm sorry, Gerlos.
A full alien, just an alien.
Like
But he's not the one with the weird
Hierodule.
eyepiece. Palaemon is, right?
Hierodule or something. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure Palaemon's... I'm
But it
pretty
does
sure it
say
is.
his eyes were refulgent, brighter than any woman's.
Okay, then it's definitely... Yeah, Palaemon has like a weird optical device
Yeah.
protruding from his face.
Right.
It's fucking awesome.
Brighter than.
And his name, he shares a name with the old man of the sea, who's a shapeshifter,
No.
which has always made me wonder if maybe Palaemon is an alien.
Why wouldn't they both be?
It could very well be so. What you clapping about?
Aliens.
Oh.
I mean,
Cool.
yeah.
Future ancient aliens.
so that would suggest a much like greater integration of like aliens into the sort of like daily life of a lot of the like
Yeah.
lower classes.
Yeah.
Than I like the Hierodules like show up at the House Absolute and stuff, and I at least on my first read through, I guess I kind of assumed that again because Severian's so frightened by them
Yeah.
when he sees them the first time.
But maybe they're
Well,
gonna
because they're
suck.
wearing like 8 layers of masks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting.
Oh, and so is Aglia. Right? Aglia and her twin are wearing layers
Oh,
and layers
yeah.
of
Oh
True.
my god.
Very true. Haven't even gotten there yet. Anywhere near there.
Yeah.
Have you read Earth before?
No.
Oh.
You've only read through the third one,
Yeah.
and you've only read through what we're reading now.
In fact, I only have 80 pages left of The Author of the New Sun. I read this one and
Nice.
the next two. And so.
In the last few weeks?
Yeah,
Nice. Yes.
I moved some things around.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's very good. It's probably much more interesting. I mean, it's like this conversation would be a lot more boring if you hadn't read it. That's great. I would have if I wasn't trying to restrict myself to this schedule.
Yeah, I'm happy that I've fallen in love with this other book. So I'm not just.
I've been reading fucking Le Guin short stories just to
Yeah.
like,
Oh, man,
get
you
myself through the day.
That'll
A
do
Le
it,
Guin
though.
short story. That's a beautiful, warm, balmy wind that will just carry you.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like
I mean,
it's
the
going to
last
reduce me
one
to a quivering pile of tears.
Yeah, the last one I read was pretty brutal actually.
What'd you
Yeah.
read?
I'm reading, what the fuck is the name of that book of short stories? I can't remember.
Birthday of the World.
No.
Oh.
It's one that I haven't read before, and now I can't remember what the name of it is.
Is it
It's
one
like
of
the
those
people
recent
who
novels?
like are. It's like with the people that like work in the quarry.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, it's not like sci-fi necessarily.
Are we to the feast yet?
We can talk about the feast.
We're not anywhere near. It. We should talk about it anyway.
Technically, we're on the conversation list, but we can move.
Was that's Thekla stuff, right? I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
we
it.
keep coming back.
We got that. Okay.
We kind of talked about that.
I don't know,
but
there might be
we're
something that we should-
snake.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, and we talked about Azure. Yeah, okay.
I mean, we jump around.
Let's move. Let's traverse
Oh,
the
can I
corridors
just
of
ask
time.
one like on
Yes.
like kind of out of nowhere question? Just because I'm flipping through and there's like a question mark next to an
Yeah.
underlined thing.
What is it?
This is when let's see who the fuck is he talking to? Whatever. They're talking about how Nessus keeps moving up the river, but then there's this phrase that gets said.
The raw flesh eaters.
Anyone living too near the sea is always somewhat suspect. What is that? What the fuck is that about?
Oh, do you think that has to
smugglers
do
and
with
pirates.
the?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, what were you going to say?
The like the Undines or
Oh, they
like
yeah.
Erebus, or like what Abaya or whatever.
Abaya, yeah.
If you live
Erebus lives in Antarctica.
Yes, right.
of course everyone knows.
Okay, anyway,
we should.
we can move along.
Well, so the moon came closer, so wouldn't that affect tides and shorelines and stuff?
Probably.
So like, are like those places kind of scary and cursed because
Probably.
at some point a bunch of them flooded or?
Right.
Well, like in like the third one, I think there's the lake people where they just the islands
Yeah.
move to and from.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, like they're trying to.
Yeah.
Like Titicaca in real life.
Right. Yes. Right.
Ooh,
Yeah.
definitely.
The highest lake.
Oh, the other
Alright.
thing.
Oh, yeah, where there's seahorses. It's the only place that has freshwater seahorses.
Well,
No, never mind.
No, come on.
Nah.
How come no one
Kill
eats seahorses?
wait. So can we just go quick to the? Since we're trying to go like in order. I mean, I know you really want to talk about the feast, but like if we're trying to go in order.
Yeah. Let's go on over.
We haven't because we haven't really gone through the house is your thing yet.
I guess not.
There's so much good. I was
So,
reading that and I was
we
like,
entered
we're not
and-
going to talk about
We
it.
entered and
So,
found
this one
ourselves in a
chapter.
narrow little
yeah.
room like a jewel
Same
box
time.
in which the walls and ceilings were covered with blue satin quilting.
Ooh,
Now,
I love that room.
It sounds like Graceland.
the atrium of time, when he goes into that room in the atrium of time, it's like tapestried walls.
Yeah.
You think that the house is outside of time?
No.
No, I just am saying, like, I don't know what time he's saying things are tapestried when it's actually a control room, and when things are tapestried when it's
Oh,
like
I see,
supposed to be
okay.
a tapestry. That's just one little thing.
Oh,
Well,
that's a good point because like aren't like think about like what kind of like a padded room, you know, like that's kind of I don't know,
Tapestried room.
like because
Quilted.
it's like quilted, so it's like I'm picturing it. You know how like the couch, there's like at the back of the couch, it has those like buttons
Tufts,
in it.
like
yeah,
that,
tufted.
yeah.
That's what I'm picturing that it looks like.
Yeah.
Like that.
That makes sense. That
Anyway.
that's a very like 70s sexy.
We should-
like, yeah,
I'm just
plush-
saying, like, the
plush
only time he's
everything.
mentioned a room being, like, tapestried is the Atrium of Time room. until now. That's just something.
Well, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A narrow little room like a jewel box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing I have underlined on this page is that the fucking autarch says to him, "You've been here previously, have you not? I remember your red hair and high color."
He doesn't say that to Severian. He says that
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Roche.
Roche.
Yeah.
Roche.
Jimmy Joe.
Yeah.
But he's like, but then he says, "Far to the south in the narrow lands, the savages paint the fire spirit much like you," which I think is an interesting.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Weird thing to say.
Yeah, which every time I read that, I'm like, oh, I gotta look up what those people down there in Argentina are doing.
And then this one part I thought was amusing when it says, "At the farther end of this chamber, opposite the window, was a high back chair like a throne. Our host seated himself in it," and I just wrote "cute" next to that.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
I guess that makes more sense that that's the autarch. Like he's got this throne for himself. But when I was first reading, it was just kind of this like goofy guy who just like works here, just like has
Yeah.
this whole like,
Yeah.
sense of like ceremony.
You would have
about
no
himself.
reason to think otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they make a show, I feel like Danny DeVito could be this character really well.
The autarch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
That
god.
Well,
That's
Danny
who I would
DeVito,
cast.
right?
Yeah.
What is his name?
Who?
Dan-
The
Autarch.
Oh, I can't.
Daniel.
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 We know what it is.
Remember. Yeah, I can't.
And it's not fucking Daniel.
Daniel.
It's Daniel DeVito.
Did he say his name?
This entry's being needlessly cryptic. At some point, his name is said. I know that people know what his name is.
Oh, and then I think when they're leaving and the autarch he had smiled, and because there had been nothing but friendship in his smile, it had frightened me. I think that's like him saying there had been I think that's like first, right before that, he notices like the white-haired
penis
man catching my eye had drawn from the bosom of his robe what I had first thought was an icon, but soon saw to be a golden vial in the shape of a phallus. So he's like, the autarch's like, "See you guys later," and then just like dangles this thing and is like, love you buddy, love you," and it's like he's just like. It's obvious the autarch has chosen him at that point. Like,
Yeah.
that's like
He's
so
fingering the
fucking-
bell with the El
He's just
Zabo.
like, he just shows it to him.
And that's why it's so
weird.
scary to him, because it's like, he knows something I don't know,
Yeah.
and I don't know it.
He's like
Yeah.
winking at him from the future, and it's if that happened to you, you've never been somewhere like this probably. Maybe you have. I don't know.
It has happened.
You've had an old man dangle a phallic vial
And like
with no context.
You want to talk about
Not
it?
dangle, I
And
have
smile
had
a
an old
smile
man
that
try to
only
get me
meant
into
friendship.
his SUV before.
Sure.
But
Well, I want to say another thing about the what is it actually called? The it's not called the house
House here.
the what the house is over, but like what are they calling it?
the Algedonic Quarter,
No. Oh, maybe the Algedonic Quarter.
it means pleasure and pain.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Right.
so we like are looking at a lot of things and being like, oh, is this a spaceship? Is this a control room? But then I think like, how many of these things are like malls and resorts and like, you know,
Well, and this building is just a
hotels?
bunch of other buildings
Yeah.
jammed
Oh, yeah.
together.
I think
like,
that's cool, too.
I'm thinking like, you know, like old apartments, hotels, like it's this whole thing, and then
A bunch
like,
of airstreams cobbled together.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
like
was thinking like how in the Midwest they have like skyways connecting off because it gets so cold, so it's just connecting like office buildings and stuff
oh
like
right,
that,
like
you know?
the walkways and stuff.
Or just like the cans on the ships, just like
storage containers.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like just fuse
Yeah,
them together.
Shipping container.
Yeah.
It probably looks
Structures.
amazing. Just like all of like different. Think about how like
Yeah, a bunch of airstreams welded together would be cool. I would live there.
how like just here we can see like a couple different eras
Did you see that
of
movie?
like
It's terrible.
architecture in
wasn't
Baltimore,
great.
and then it's probably
Yeah.
like it's
By
thousands
Steven
and thousands of
Spielberg?
years of
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
all
And it was-
next to
yeah.
each, and that's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's
That's
like
exactly what I
also-
thought when I read it.
And AI.
Which reminds me of
Did he make AI?
the this is jumping like far ahead, but the antechamber and how they like there's like a drop ceiling in the antechamber.
Uh-huh.
Oh wait, when
When
he's
they're in
prison
prison
at the
and
House
the-
Absolute
oh,
yeah.
with the Koreans.
Yes. So I was like, is the House Absolute like a resort or like some kind of like big fancy hotel or something?
On Hilton Head.
But it's
Huh.
underground too. Oh,
Okay.
so then like maybe over the eras like it just went underground because it like silt or whatever piles up.
Huh.
It's cool.
It seems so specific, so precise though.
You mean?
Right. Like I don't think that the House Absolute being underground is necessarily an accident.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, because it's like concealed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's supposed to be.
But maybe it
hard to
was.
find.
Oh, what hasn't it moved? There was like actually when I was reading today, I noticed someone like there was some. Oh no. I was sorry. I was thinking about the part where they're talking about how people like start building the city up, so like the city moves. So
Oh,
and
yeah.
then for like a split second, I thought like, oh, did the House Absolute move a couple times? Which maybe it did. I don't know.
I think.
But I just remembered that memory.
My guess is that it doesn't really move geographically, but it seems like it moves in a sort
In
of
relation.
cognitively. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like people who are trying to get there either will get there or won't get there, kind of based on
Yeah.
what the whatever the sort of security of the House Absolute decides on.
Yeah, because like when Thecla says like, oh, they sent people to get my clothes, but they couldn't find it, which means they're trying to like.
Yeah, they're trying to pretend they don't exist.
Yeah.
Nice.
Realistic.
Which how does that even work given that there is no magic?
Right.
How does what work?
That the House Absolute, you can only find the House Absolute when the House Absolute wants you to.
Well, they talk about how they with the roads are closed and they have spies everywhere who can direct or misdirect people who are trying to get there,
Yeah.
depending on what's happening. So I don't think that the house is actually hidden. I think that the way to the house is intentionally obfuscated by the security essentially. I don't think there's anything magical.
Oh, this makes me excited to look in a real detailed way at how Severian finds the house. Because isn't it fucked up? Isn't he like being chased by noctules and Hathor? And then through that happens across the house?
No, it's like right after he leaves Volda, he leaves Voldalis. No, he gets like kidnapped by someone, right? And then he gets put on a. It's like people come to get him. I think.
It's not that he saves that guy from the noctules.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
happens.
sends, and then
They
from
arrest
that
him. That
he
happens,
gets,
yeah.
gets
Once
arrested.
he's already there, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
they like
he's on
they
the
collect
grounds,
him.
basically, and then they come and they're like, "You're coming with us."
But don't they find him because he's like one of the guards gets attacked by
I think so.
noctules,
Yeah.
and then he brings that person back to life.
Yeah, I think that is how it happens, if I remember
Right.
it correctly.
Yeah.
So it's a weird way to find it. Like,
Yes.
you know?
Well, yeah, it seems like he wasn't supposed to, or well, I guess he probably was supposed to.
he must have. supposed
Well,
to,
I
yeah.
mean, he must have supposed.
He must have supposed to.
Well, I mean,
he
the
can't have not
odds are
supposed to.
probably.
Unless they're supposed to, you can't go there. You have to have a supposed to.
You need supposed to.
He's supposed to.
Why is there such a
Okay, the only time that word happens in this book is the time that I just saw, which is why I was looking it up.
Pelagic tablet. It's so cute.
Pelagic is
I have a little tablet
because
like that. That's nice.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah, like a little Kindle
Oh, it's hang on.
or something like that. Tablet.
It's such a cute little.
Pelagic Argosy also must be a reference to submarines. Because pelagic means
Oh,
the
yeah,
deepest
and
part of the
Arg-
ocean, and
yeah.
Argosy is a group of boats, so it's got to be a pod of submarines.
It's
Not
it's
that that's
it's
interesting.
it's Thecla that uses the word.
Oh, really?
What is the word? Sorry.
She just says, she's talking about the house Absolute and Father and Yire, and she says, And last year, a woman whose judgment I trust more than any man's confided that it really made no difference because they were both as unfathomable as the pelagic deeps. That's the only time that word happens in the. Just put that
In the
to
first
rest.
2 books?
In this first book. You want me to look at the second one?
I mean, you can do whatever you want, man.
I mean, I have a digi copy. It's like, you can do that.
Yeah, it's searchable.
Why does he go so, like, I feel like Wolf goes so hard on this, like, Thecla prostitute version, other prostitute version, are they the same, are they not? Why is that consumed so much energy of this House of Zero chapter? What is going on there?
He gets very
It's
upset, even though he
that's-
knows.
That's what I was talking about earlier. I thought it was very weird that Severian has a hard time comprehending this and that responds to it like violently. Like he's like grappling with this. Like he's like, no, you're not the real one. Like he's going through this whole thing. I don't know if that's exactly what you were asking, but
Yeah.
it's a
Do you
lot
think
of time is spent on that.
Do you
Yeah.
think
Like,
he's just freaking out?
Well, do you feel like maybe it is her or a clone of her?
I don't know. That's
Definitely
what,
is a
like,
clone of her.
It's a clone of
A
her.
kybit,
it's a clone.
yeah.
Okay.
No, but it's not, because there are kybits, but this is the echopraxia, that's the word I was looking for. This
Oh.
isn't actually the House Azur. This is a copy of the House Azur.
Whoa.
What?
Wait, say that again?
There's the House Azur,
Yeah.
which is in the House Absolute, but this is
the House
This is the
Azur.
echopraxia.
This is like the
Why do you think
Taurus.
the House Azur is in the House Absolute?
I don't know why.
I think this is the House Azur.
No, it's the echopraxia.
Which is an echopraxia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's an
I
echopraxia
thought-
because
okay.
so like
what's
echopraxia
an
needs
echopraxia?
to like
That's
copy
a
somebody's
kind of
actions.
thing.
And
Yeah.
I think it's referring to how
Okay,
like an
so people
echopraxia is a clone
This
whorehouse.
is what I think it is. So, I thought the House Azur was the concubines that the autarch had, where she's talking about how there's all of the concubines, but they actually have kybits that actually do the concubine duties while everyone else just like chills. And then this thing that we're going to, these are not kybits. These are girls who just like look a lot like they're like high, because he says that
Well, they're not tall, right?
They're not as tall.
They're like,
Well, the
But you
kybots
think
aren't
they're-
as tall.
but you think
Right.
that
Oh,
they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
kybits.
They're
This is
kybots.
like, this
They're
is
totally
the-
kybots.
sort of-
I'm
I-
variably
like-
certain.
I've-
The consensus and what I believe is
Okay.
that these are kybits.
I've like invented a whole like other section.
Well, I want to hear about it.
Because it's like, this place that he goes is kind of like the tilted kilt.
Yeah.
Everyone in my life is talking about the tilted kilt. I never heard about the
I don't
tilted
know
kilt
what this
until 2
is.
weeks ago,
What
and now
the
this is
fuck
like
is
the
that?
Well,
sixth time.
it's like
somebody's mentioned
kudos, but with like an Irish.
It's Irish food.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, it's not like. Is there a House Azur in the House?
To be clear, I
Absolute?
haven't been. That's just my understanding.
I
Because
don't
this
think
isn't
so. I
that.
don't
No, they don't need it. They have the actual.
This is like a
No,
like
maybe
a
I
cheap.
did go in one.
I think the House Azur is the name of an echopraxia, which
Yeah, I think
are
that's right.
places that use clones of the autarch's concubines as horses.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, yeah.
we're going to the echopraxia, or think that we're going
So
to
then why
a
is the-
echopraxia.
And
I mean, I don't know which article
So
they use.
why is the real autarch there?
Because
he's
he's
waiting for
Looking
trying to
Henry
hang
the
with
Fifth,
Severian.
man.
But it's like him. It's like managing the tilted quilt. It's like Donald
Tilted
Trump
quilt.
is secretly.
That's the Amish
It's
one.
like
Wow! All right. Oh, I would definitely go to that.
You wouldn't wait outside of that
It's
one.
not sexy.
That concludes this episode.
You just glower at each other.
but you know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
wait. Echopraxia. The name of a specific brothel in the Algodonic quarter of Nessus, or more likely, a category of brothel where the theme is mimicry. The one in question, the House Absolute, is mimicked in the House Azure.
Oh, the House Azur is a copy of the House Absolute.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Disney World. Like Epcot, you know, like
Right.
the nation
Like
showcase
Fun
of
with
nations.
Japan.
The countries,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
Sexy
thought there were
Epcot.
three
It
things,
is
but there's two
sexy
things.
Epcot.
I think so.
Okay, cool.
why does the autarch oversee this random whorehouse?
He doesn't. He's just there this day.
Yeah,
for
he's
Severian.
not there every goddamn day. He's there because he's got to scope out Severian
For
and make
recruitment
sure,
It sounded like he was working there. Like
He
he's
was. But
It's
he's
his
not.
place.
That doesn't
He
mean
owns
he's
it.
there every
It's not a full-time
day.
job.
I mean, he's also
It's a no-show job.
lower member of Vodalis's network.
Right, he's doing in all kinds of places.
Autark's fucking everywhere,
He's
man.
everywhere. All right.
Because people see him and they're just like, oh, that's just a bald guy.
Yeah.
A weird bald guy flashing
Oh, wait.
his phallic
Isn't he short?
ambulance at me.
Yeah, see, Danny DeVito.
That's the Danny
You wouldn't
DeVito kid, God.
Yeah.
Come on.
What'd you say?
The Autark is short.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that passage to try to find him saying that, and it doesn't say it in that. Maybe he says it later. Because
I think it's in the fourth book.
Because I had that thought when you were going off about short people earlier.
Short people got it.
I'm the autark.
Going on.
I'm fine with that.
I wouldn't want to be the Autark.
That's canon in my head. As far as I'm
Short person
concerned.
is the audience.
Yeah.
No, I am all short people.
And also the author.
And both, yeah.
Every midget. That's a song.
That's how it
That is not a song, man.
Yeah, it's in commercials.
goes. No, it's a famous song. That's how it goes.
Well, she does say that thing about I was saying what is this?
Uh,
I was gonna play
short
every
people.
midget.
Oh.
I hoped it's a recording of it. It's him talking. There we go.
The song by that dude.
Randy Newman.
Yeah. There you go.
Are we doing this right now?
What?
I only wanted to go underneath when people were
I
talking.
can't concentrate.
Just keep talking.
This is a hateful song, Connor.
What Disney music
I
did you
can't
write?
concentrate like
Toy
that.
Story.
Yeah.
It's so quiet.
It's right behind
What
you.
is going on?
You put it over there.
I think he's harassing all with like this song about short people.
She says
And to my understanding.
No reason to live.
Here, I'll turn it.
Wait, that's not how the song goes.
she says
That's how the song goes.
No, it's not how the fucking song. In no way how the fucking song.
It's gone. The
In no
music's
way.
gone.
Have you heard the
It
song?
does not say there's no reason for short people to live. I know it does not say
That's
that.
the whole song. It's like
That is what it says. But hold on.
Like in so many words, or actually says that.
He says that.
He says it literally.
That's the
Yeah.
chorus of the song.
I think it's
Short
the
people
first
got no
words
reason
of
to
the
live.
whole song.
There's no, you're saying it says there's no reason for short people to live.
Yeah, that's what it says.
I rebuke this.
Short people got. Short people got.
I think you guys. I don't know.
No reason to live.
Yeah, it's a great song.
He's
It's, no,
satirizing.
if that's what it
Great
says, it's in
song.
fact a transport song.
He's satirizing
Great about
bigotry.
He's satirizing bigotry.
But you know
He makes
what?
it there okay later on in the song.
what you guys what's
It's like Margaritaville. It's like
I
Margaritaville.
can't believe y'all are so surprised by this song. It's a classic.
I will not look up the lyrics.
I've been trying to figure that out.
that never
But let's look at
There
how
has to be a way that
fucking
we can know.
because
There has to be,
yeah,
but I don't know what
some
it is.
time he's revealed it
Short
because he
people
broke
live.
that.
Well, Randy Newman is 6 feet tall, so he's not even like that.
That doesn't
tall.
necessarily mean he revealed it to us, but I don't know. I've been trying to figure that out.
He's not even that tall.
You have
All
to-
right, can we
I'll
just
call
go
back.
to the feast so we can
James James Taylor is 6'3".
Why are we talking about
Really?
James
Hell
Taylor?
yeah.
How tall are you?
6'6".
That's not how tall my dad is.
Cool.
Lyle Lovett, 6 feet tall.
Oh, I love Lyle Lovett.
And my brother-in-law, I think, is 6'6" too. He might even be 6'6".
Linda Ronstadt, 5'2". How tall are you?
5'2".
There you go.
Linda Ronstadt's last.
I'm the same height as Prince. I choose
And I'm
to
the
say.
same height as Michael
I
Jordan.
choose to say I'm the same height as Prince.
And you're taller
And
than
1
Tom
inch taller
Cruise?
than Stevie Nicks. What?
Taller than Tom Cruise?
No, he's 5'4". So
He's
says.
5'4".
I
That's
love
about mine.
imagining.
Yeah, if he
being-
says it, then he's
I
short.
love imagining him being shorter than me.
LA heights
He's
are all
really
I'm sure I could beat
short.
him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's for sure.
Let's talk about the feast so
The
we can
wind
stop
can beat
talking
him
about
up.
this.
Yeah.
Moving
That's what
on.
Ryan wants to talk about so bad.
Yeah.
Can we just give
We just
Ryan,
hadn't touched it yet, and it was such
because it's
a...
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of
You
our
can talk
thing.
about the weird meat sculpture that's in
Yeah.
He says
Oh my
brave
God.
meats.
Brave.
He does
At one
say
point he
the
says
brave
all
meat.
the brave meats.
Is that
Still
just
in
like
their
a bowl
bodily
of flavor?
forms, like climbing mountains
Yeah.
of cheese or whatever it is.
Oh, and the fur made of coconut and
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds so good.
I think that it's interesting. You think that sounds good
I
because
think that's good. That's true.
I love food and I am
roasted-
horrified by this
Roasted
description.
coconut with like
Have you ever
some
had like fried
kind of
chicken
marmot
skin?
or something.
With coconut?
Not with coconut, but have you know like if you get
Oh,
like
coconut.
chicken
Oh,
skin,
you
The
no,
skin
chicken
where
skin is good.
The flavor lies.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
you put some coconut with it. Oh,
I just don't think that this description
You know
of
what?
food
If you're
is
gonna eat a
enticing.
cow, eat a fucking horse. Like, come on.
Wait,
A
a capybara.
That makes no sense.
No,
Eat a
no.
capybara.
People like upset with IKEA or something. For
A capybara
What's
is
the
a
fucking
rodent.
difference? Eat it.
But we don't know what a capybara is to Severian.
I guess that's true.
Capybaras are very peaceful creatures. They
Right.
say.
And
Yeah.
you think that we should eat them?
Well, there's plenty of them.
All right.
They eat guinea pigs.
Fair enough.
We eat chickens.
Okay, wait,
Chickens
can
are
we just
peaceful
like
creatures.
talk about the book?
Wait.
That just started to drive me
We
a
are
little
talking
crazy.
about it.
all the creatures made up peaceful.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
Well, chickens,
animals are
that's why we
generally
eat them.
pretty.
The thing is, if
Cats
chickens
are
get a
sharp.
taste of egg, they become egg.
Chickens
tasty.
are fucking brutal
Yes.
monsters.
And so, yeah.
Actually,
they're
I used to
dinosaurs.
have chickens when I was
They
afraid of
totally
them.
are. I've
So
seen
they
chickens
can-
in rut and
so-
it's
Okay,
horrible.
all right,
Also, they
okay,
can
okay,
be.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
I've seen
okay.
capybaras.
All right, okay, all right. I'm a regulate right now. I can't take this shit anymore.
She's right. Jen's right. We gotta follow.
Okay, so we're in the feast now, and no one wants to talk about it besides the fucking coconuts. So I'm
the
gonna bring
biggest
up the
part.
fact
It's-
that when he's describing Catherine, his mother,
Yeah.
Quote,
Um,
quote unquote.
this thing he says, I know only that each feast found her in her place, and so far as I could judge, unchanged.
Because she lives in the atrium of time.
Yeah,
She
I remember you
has
saying
to,
that
right?
last time.
She has to.
That's the same person, and she's just ageless.
And this is just her work day. Every day she goes to the Feast of St. Catherine.
Why would she go every day?
Every year.
Because that's how she's unchanged. Is like every relative day to her.
When
is
she
like
leaves
I wake
the
up
atrium.
and I go celebrate the feast this year, but then I move forward a year, and tomorrow is next year.
But so
Yeah,
how the
yeah.
fuck did she
Interesting.
wind up?
Just going
Like, what
slowly
can we?
through time.
What the fuck is up with her?
Well, they're poor in the atrium of time. Like when he
Yeah.
goes and visits that girl, it seems like they're on hard times over there.
Yeah.
But how does she hook up with Owen?
Okay, I want to know that too.
I don't know.
Can I?
It's
I need to be convinced that Catherine is Severian's mother before we like go on the trip of
I
talking
don't-
about characters
Okay.
that we.
I've
have
read
not met
other
yet.
people's arguments and I don't remember them now.
Okay.
But I think Jen has a better argument.
All right.
I'm gonna try to read.
I guess why would that be his mother?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, how does that fit into?
Yeah.
I guess seems.
We don't see her again, right?
And I mean, if people have apprenticeships and stuff, I mean, does parenthood matter so much? I mean, if
And
they're-
it could. She could be
you
the
know.
mother of everyone. I mean, there's all kinds of things. It
Well,
could-
if she
could
just had
be.
a dalliance with some waiter at
Well-
the inn of the last house, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
and
just
just
gonna
dropped
read
her
the
kid off
whole
there.
entry for her because I was reading
Yeah.
this earlier. Catherine, a monial who left her order, she became pregnant by Owen. While imprisoned in the Mattachin Tower for reasons unknown, she gave birth to Severian the Great. She is said to be dark complexioned. Severian has a memory of her nursing him in a gray cell. She is probably the maid.
Oh.
She is probably the maid who plays the role of Catherine on the feast days of the torturers. She probably was a Pellerine, hence Severian's bastard exultant lineage. And her reason for leaving the order of professional virgins, as Agia called it, may well have been her carnal knowledge of Owen and resulting pregnancy. The reason for her arrest, aside from the cryptic protection of the unborn Severian, may relate to preserving exultant bloodlines. If she had
Wait,
been
read that last part again,
the
please.
reason that last sentence.
Yeah.
The reason for her arrest, aside from the cryptic protection of the unborn Severian, which is this is confusing to me, may relate to preserving exultant bloodlines. If she had
What
been
are you talking about, Michelle?
if she had been a Pellerine, she must be an exultant, an Armajet, or a rare Optimate. If she is an exultant, this would explain Severian's semi-exultant height as well as her own exultant stature. The connection between Dorcas's family and the Pellerines is through the enameled crucifixes manufactured by Dorcas's father and brother, sold by Dorcas and her husband, and presumably bought by the Pellerines whenever they were in the area. This is precisely the scenario described by Ava as the way in which the rare Optimate enters the Pellerines, an Optimate family having a long relationship with the Monials. Yet, there is no indication that the Pellerines would take an infant as a postulant if, for instance, Dorcas had died giving birth to a daughter. Catherine may be a Kybit, yet a virginal Kybit seems possible only if, hypothetically, her original died at an early age and the Kybit was released from service to the throne into service with the Pellerines. This could give the government reason to pursue a woman who had left an order of monials to control exultant bloodlines and punish breach of contract. Then again, this is so long. Then again, but it's all, Then again, I like it when they say then again in this. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Then again, the old autarch was unmanned in Yasad and did not begin prostituting his Kybit harem until about the year you, Severian, were born, which allows for a lot of virginal Kybits. Perhaps Catherine was not really a monial at all, but only a Kybit who escaped the Well of Orchids or the opening night of the House Azure, while in costume, in the same way that Syriaca escaped Thrax. An escaped
so unbelievable.
An escaped Kybit impregnated by a commoner might be enough of a crisis to warrant her stay in the tower. That's the entry about Catherine. It's kind of long.
Interesting.
That is very interesting, but it's
So Kybits are kind of
Clones.
like a surrogate sex.
they're
Yeah.
clones.
Sex club.
And also, don't the exaltants who they're cloned from feed off of their energy, kind of, to remain young and beautiful?
I think I
longer?
saw something. I read something about that in here.
Hang on, I'm gonna read that.
But that seems like a lot of speculation. I don't
It
know.
is. The whole fucking thing is speculation. Nobody knows anything.
I guess it's. Everything has to fit together, right? We're all working on the assumption that everything in these books fits together, and that nobody who's mentioned is unimportant.
Right.
And Severian needs parents, and there are people who are mentioned, and there's it's possible based on stuff we know about this world to make this story. I don't know. But I would like something a little more
Have you been on the message boards?
Once in a while I'll look something up or Google a question or a word or something, and then I'll find my way there and I'll read it a little. But
Maybe sometimes
but we
when I'm
know Dorcas
like-
is Severian's grandmother, and
Yeah.
Owen
And I feel
knows
that's
that Dorcas is his mother
and I feel like I'm yeah,
because
that's true.
he gives her the note.
I don't remember why, but I'm very willing to accept Dorcas as his grandmother.
Well, then you should be willing to accept
Interesting.
Owen as his father.
Because of the letter.
Of the letter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, these are all givens. What's the
Yeah.
question coming on?
She's
this?
just saying she's skeptical of everything because everything's speculation.
Well, I'm just saying I'm first discuss why it makes sense to want Catherine to be his mother, and how nothing mentioned is just a stray detail.
It seems
and,
it seems
everyone has to
inelegant
have a
by design
reason.
to me that this random one-off character is his mother.
But the other
doesn't balance out with anything else. Why her? Why Catherine?
Well, I'm saying because she's mentioned and she's here.
Right.
She kind of.
She's here.
But I guess she does serve a purpose. But it's I don't know. There's this part where he talks about her a face he's never seen before,
Yeah.
something a I don't know. Then he says something about a light shining in darkness or something weird like that.
Well, he
Or,
also
so she does stand out to him, but also he's seen her every year for his whole life.
But then he senses her in his room that one night
Yeah.
after
He's drunk, yeah. He senses
Oh, yeah.
Catherine.
He senses someone in his room, and
The
he's I think
Kybit.
it's the maid that's the Catherine.
It's Catherine, the Thekla, Kybit, and Gerlos?
No,
Rubius.
Rubius,
Dead
Mel
one.
Rubius. And then, is there someone else too?
No, I think that's it.
For some reason, like when he's describing the footsteps, that made me think of the dog.
Yeah, I was gonna read the Kybit one.
Well, so if she's in the Matachin Tower when she gives birth to Severian, she can't be in the atrium of time when he's going through puberty and getting elevated. Right?
Why not?
Why is that?
Well, so they sent her out of the Matachin Tower. Does that happen?
Yeah,
What
why would they
happened?
just torture her?
Yeah, wouldn't she die there if she was sent there ever?
No, people are. It's not always.
Oh, because she wasn't sent there to be tortured. Maybe she ran away to there.
To just have the baby.
Maybe.
Give-
And then
give
there
them
was
the
like
baby.
for some specific reason, they're saying in
Also,
This guy.
if she's from the Atrium of Time, she could be in the Matachin Tower in the future.
I was just gonna read the. Sorry, I'm reading so many entries.
Oh,
but
we want
I was
that.
gonna
I
read
like
the.
it.
I was gonna read the Kybit entry because I think it's interesting, and I feel like nobody thinks about this enough.
Yeah.
A clone of an autarch's concubine created to serve as bedroom surrogate in the House Absolute, termed a shadow that is the external soul of its caster. The Shadowlanes use such clones to allow them to grow to their exalted stature. The old autarchs, tells Severian, they're Kybits, of course, grown from the body cells of exultant women, so an exchange of blood will prolong the exultant's youth. Thekla's Kybit is somewhat shorter than Thekla, and Ossipago tells Severian, growth has its disadvantages, though for your species it is the only method by which youth can be reinstated, which links artificially induced rejuvenation with continued growth. This hints at the possibility that all exultants use clones, not just the relatively few Shadowlanes held hostage in the Well of Orchids. In addition, there seem to be cloned soldiers who are multiples of a single individual, first at the Piteous Gate of Nessus, where Severian sees riders whose faces were more akin than the faces of brothers, and later while looking at Achaean soldiers, Severian remarks, not that they all have the same face as the men in some units of our own army do, who are indeed closer than brothers. This is a different category of being, but such cloned soldiers may serve the same purpose as the cloned concubines in rendering service to the autarch without involving the original exultant.
Can you read the part about size again?
They basically
That's
like
interesting.
use blood transfusions from their clones to rejuvenate their youth, which makes them grow.
So, yes, continued growth.
Because there's other characters that grow to fantastic size, which is
Baldanders.
Baldanders and Juturnia the Undine.
Right.
Right.
I just thought they were different, like beings.
Yeah, they might just be different.
Like different species.
Baldanders, I would bet it has more to do with than Juturna.
Oh, I think Juturnia too.
No, they're like related. They're very closely. Baldanders is one of those things,
Yeah.
right? That just
Yeah,
like
He's like, yeah, young.
Left
He's a young
the-
version
Oh,
of
right.
it. He's like a
growing
baby.
into her.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, compared to her, he's like a baby.
Yeah.
And when he meets
It could have been
Juturnia
big enough,
on the ship Zedikiel,
Side
she's pretty much he just thinks that she's an older human because she starts as a human.
Right. Well,
When was that?
She tries to kill him on the spaceship.
Oh, is this in?
Book 5.
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
You haven't read it at all? Good.
well, you're
God,
all the way
Jordan.
on 3, number 2, and you haven't read 5 yet?
I don't know why.
You should
It's
read it.
so good.
Who's on first?
The quote from Ossipago is, growth has its disadvantages, though for your species it is the only method by which youth can be reinstated,
Yeah, that's interesting.
which links artificially induced rejuvenation with continued growth.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
You're
the
staying
bones
alive, yeah.
Keep,
Yeah.
keep doing
Growing.
the thing.
That's
Yeah.
what makes a child young. It's not how long they've been on the earth. It's that they're growing still.
Yeah.
Once you stop growing, then you go over the
that's
roller
interesting.
coaster and you go
Going down.
down.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So that also means that I guess my initial thought was like if the exultants are alien or descended from humans who lived in space for a long time, that was the height difference.
Yeah.
Bless
just
you.
because of
Thank
living,
you. Yeah.
living and growing in
Sure.
microgravity or lower gravity, like
Yeah.
you just get taller.
That's-
but this would be a different reason. for
This
that.
would be
Yeah,
a different
interesting.
reading, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
kind of thought that the Exultants were aliens, yeah, or evolved humans who had evolved beyond, whatever the hell a human is, and then like
Some bullshit.
gone to that's what I'm
A
saying.
pile of bullshit.
Am I right?
Sorry.
That's kind of how I thought, but that there's actually like a process to it that they're like feeding off of humanity.
Yeah, it's not a genetic thing. It's a
Well, so then what about Talos? Is what all this? Yeah, Talos is an important part of Baldanders.
True.
So if Baldanders is evolving to the post-human stage, what role does the Talos organic robot play to that?
See,
maybe
I just read
maybe
him
it's
as a
similar.
robot.
Like, maybe that's
Maybe it's like Danny DeVito and Twins.
It all goes back to the
Wait, but Baldanders made Talos, and Danny DeVito
That's-
is a byproduct of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And
He is
Twins.
nobody's.
I'm going to take that
byproduct.
seriously. What you just said.
No, I meant it seriously. Like,
Okay.
Wait, when
I
you
mean,
say
they kinda have-
organic robot, what do you mean? Like I just kind of interpreted him
Cylon?
I kind of interpreted him like a data like cyborg.
Oh no, I think that he's made of meat.
He's
I
like
think that
okay.
he's an organic being that was
Wasn't they
completely.
describe them as kind of looking like a?
Doesn't he have like robot-y insides
Yeah.
though?
Does
they did.
does he? Where
I don't
does it
remember
say?
that.
It's later.
I remember that
Describe.
happening about Jonas.
Yeah, Jonas.
Jonas.
for sure.
But
Jonas
I don't remember that happening.
is a
about
robot
Jonas.
that built
I'm just saying
human
it's possible
being
that
parts into it.
that's
didn't-
being confused.
I didn't notice.
it's
No,
possible.
here's the thing. I didn't notice the first time I read. I didn't notice the Jonas thing at all. Like that completely went
Oh,
over.
I'm like robot.
absolutely
Ding, 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 ding,
missed it. 100%.
Really? From
The
page
first,
one?
the first time.
Didn't get it at all. But the Talos thing, I was like, oh, they're describing a robot right now.
Yeah.
The
What?
first time I read it.
That's crazy! You're insane!
Yeah, I would.
I thought they were describing like a clockwork guy.
What?
I don't know. I haven't read that
Clockwork
far. My second reading, I haven't
That's
gotten that far. yet.
fantastic. Mr. Fox is kind of how I see
I don't
him.
know why
Yeah.
I thought that, but like that's.
Yeah.
But I didn't
that's,
get
like,
robot.
In my mind, that is like an important part of Talos.
There's a particular character from.
I'm gonna be reading for that.
From Labyrinth that I pictured when I pictured Talos. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Wait, so
David Bowie.
No, not David
So
Bowie. One of the
we're
puppets.
meeting adjourned.
so maybe Talos is a clone, just in a younger stage.
Oh.
So if Baldanders is like in this process of growing into an Undyne, then Talos, or I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily detailed anywhere, but like, do the clones like, are they gestated? Like, do they grow? Like, do they have younger?
I feel like we could have a better conversation about
Stages?
this. I feel like there's a point where it's revealed more clearly later in the book what Talos is,
Oh,
right? Like,
Talos.
there's a description,
Right.
right? Is that what
I feel like I mean, maybe Jordan will disagree, but I feel like there's never a clear, like, this is what Talos is.
no,
I don't
but-
recall.
Oh no, I don't think I know what he is, but I mean, like, that was the image I had, and also like, I don't know why I think that, and I
thought
don't
that-
remember what they say in the book.
I
that
could
made
be
me think
mistaken,
that.
but I remember him being like robotic when he was revealed.
Yeah,
I
when they
could be
revealed it.
mistaken. Like,
I always
I don't
felt
remember
I
trust-
maybe
It's been a
I'm
couple
naive,
years
but
since
I
I've read
definitely
it.
felt like Baldanders was the subservient one. He
Yeah.
was
Yes.
he was the if anybody's
Oh, yeah.
artificial, it's Baldanders and
Right.
Yeah, that's
what
blew
they.
my
That's
mind.
the
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way they
And
kind
you
of
think
like lay
that.
it out.
yeah.
Man, I feel like when I was reading it the second time, I had so much shit that I was like texting you about it or whatever. And I was, or like we would have those meetings and I would talk to you about it. And now I can't remember any of these. I had all these crazy theories about Baldanders.
Those were
and
good
I-
conversations.
And I can't, and I'd be like, what if Baldanders? And
Oh,
you'd
what
be
is
like, I never
Baldanders
thought about that, but now I can't remember any of it. Maybe I'll
they'll come
remember
back
it
when we
later.
get to the Baldanders chapter.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Oh yeah, we haven't even met the bastard yet.
Beldanders is so soon.
Yeah,
So
it's
what?
coming-
He's so soon.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
He's only a
He's
month
lit-
away.
He's literally the next chapter.
But in the ceremony, the climax of the ceremony where he has to pretend to cut off this girl's head,
Yeah.
he fucks it up.
Yeah, he does.
Does he?
He
Yeah.
doesn't want to do it. He hesitates, and she has to like she has to say it like again. She has like cue him twice.
Yeah.
She's like,
That's a big
She's
deal.
like-
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
since he's
yeah.
so cruel.
Do you think that's like maybe a weird clue that it's his mom? That like the face thing and that? Do you think maybe
Oh.
like I don't know.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Possible.
It would be. I mean, he's the only one at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is going up to journeyman. So this is the absolutely most like highest important part of this whole ceremony that he fucks up.
But okay, every time they supposedly cut off her head,
Uh-huh.
and he says, "Oh, but it was an act. It's some act of theater. I don't know how it works, but she gets her head out of it." Do they not actually decapitate her?
It gets
No.
weird in the descriptions afterwards.
Yeah,
But
like-
he does seem to think that she has a fullerton cloth that she takes out off like pretty soon after.
But he has it's man, I don't.
It
I
is
don't have
weird
it
when
like,
he
written
describes
down.
the
There's
head
weird
coming off. It
descriptions.
seems real.
Like it's.
I think
as if
he's
it was
just
written.
saying that she's so good at it that she's fooling even him, even though he knows that it's not.
And like
Because she
Real.
does reveal
Yeah.
herself in whole like very soon after.
and she says
Yeah.
he says something about how like I know she has a cloth over her head, but it seemed like nothing was there, but I just took that to be like Fullerton is like just doesn't look like anything.
Yeah.
So,
Also,
like-
he's nervous as shit.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
tripping.
Has a crazy drug experience immediately after this, and is a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the trick is actually really simple and easy, and he's just like, oh.
And yeah, Fullerton's that fucking dope.
Yeah.
Well, and also it's right after. This is like right
Fullerton's
after.
fucking
It's Fullerton's fucking dead.
It does. You can just like
It is.
hide your head in it, and everyone's like,
This is also right after he told them he never considered leaving the guild, which was a lie. One of the
always
classic lies.
says things
And then
to
he
people
justifies
that
it
you
like,
hear.
yeah.
And then
Such a
but so
horrible
then in the moment where he's saying, he says, when I think back on that time, it is that moment I recall first. To remember more, I must work forward or backward from that, because he, with the blade poised above my head, while I raised it, I was an apprentice. When it descended, I would be a journeyman. So he's like hesitating in this moment where he's like committing to the guild after he lied about his like personal actual commitment to the guild.
So it's not even so much that he's having a second thought about the decapitation, like false or otherwise. It's that he's hesitant about like growing up,
Committing.
Like, yeah, like,
Which he immediately betrays the guild.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like his first act as a guild member is to
Truly,
betray
yeah.
the entire.
Does he?
Yeah,
act,
maybe
is he
like
actually
two-
just trying
no,
to
it's
worm
like
his way out?
2 days later.
Do you ever join a club or something?
That
and
is
like
true. It's like a
go
couple days
into
later.
it, and then like a little while longer, you're like, oh, I was really into this, but now I'm gonna go. Like I gotta like leave.
Well,
Oh.
and then
Like, is he sabotaging himself? Is he trying to just get out of the guild?
and then jumping ahead slightly, like immediately upon it, embarking on his punishment. He's like, and this is the most fantastic
Yes.
free that I've ever felt.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah. That glove was convenient. It was a total convenient thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Here's
Gave him a way
here's a little.
And he's kind of like, is this love? is love the reason I'm doing what I want to do right now?
Here's a little margin note that I have. So this is the paragraph. How I reached my bed, I have no notion. Those who drink much have told me that they sometimes forget all that befell them in the latter part of the night, and perhaps it was so with me. But I think it is more likely that I, who never forget anything, who,
Yeah.
if I may for once confess the truth, though I seem to boast, do not truly understand what others mean when they say forget, for it seems to me that all experience becomes a part of my being, only slept and was carried there. So like he's saying like I straight up got drunk and forgot a bunch of shit, but like there's no way
But
that I got
that's
drunk and
impossible.
forgot a bunch of shit.
'Cause
So
I
I
don't
must have just
forget
fallen
anything.
asleep and forgot that I fell asleep. Like what I don't understand is like obviously there's all kinds of shit he forgets, but why does he keep hammering that he doesn't like? Why every time he forgets something he's like I don't forget anything though.
I think
Like, why does he
yeah.
keep like hammering?
I think
in?
every time he mentions that he has, because he mentions it so many times, every time he mentions that, I think it's like incredibly important what happened in that like
But so like
period of time.
so
And I think
why-
he,
Like that's
obviously
something that
did
actually
forget.
did happen, or
Maybe he forgot it. Maybe it was something terrible happened, and he or that makes him look bad happened. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think
or,
that's often a alarm for like uncovering something.
Yeah, they're like clearly like the gaps are so like present, or like the gap between Shadow and Claw. Like,
Yeah.
where you're just like,
Yeah,
oh.
there's that whole thing we don't.
Yeah,
like,
you
no
just
one
like
knows what
miss this
happened.
entire conflict that happens at the gate. And it's,
Like, what the fuck? Why is he, like, insisting on it so hard? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Some dimension of it is that he's writing this after he's ingested all these other people, and when he's doing these things, he hasn't done that. So he was capable of forgetting once, and now he can't relate any longer.
Oh.
I feel like that's one dimension of what's
Interesting.
happening here. Is like now that he's got all these people, he's like forgetting like what? Like I think he like or his thoughts are
That he wasn't born that way, but now reflecting, he sees everything.
yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or like the person that is writing the thing like doesn't no longer knows what it means to forget, and he's like romanticizing his
like-
youth as if he's always been this way.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't. He was a
Right.
regular ass kid.
Regular
before.
person.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. Like, the concept that, like, when you drink the Alzabo or whatever,
That makes the most sense out of any
you
description.
not only do you, like, get everyone else's memories, but you get all of your own memories. Like, you download your own life, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never thought about that. That's fucking interesting.
There's one of those Borges
Did you ever
stories
think of
is about a dude who like has an accident and then can't move. He's like paralyzed, but also he never like his memory. It becomes absolutely perfect. So everything he looks at, he knows instantly like all the information about it and never forgets any of that information. And so this dude kind of like spends his whole life just like sitting immobile, staring off into space as far as everyone else is concerned. But his own inner life is just like endless series of organizing all the information that he has. And that's like the whole little story is about. I forget which one. I don't remember the title of it. It's in that little PDF that I sent though.
Oh yeah.
and that's how old is spending his time. Right?
Yeah.
that's
It's real funny to watch. Borges and Robert Graves are the only two people I can really do this with, but it's real funny how obvious Gene Wolfe is when he's like, "I'm copying this guy. I really like this guy.
Yeah.
Here he is. Here's
he's a
something
very
that's
cute man.
clearly Borges. Here's something that's clearly Robert Graves."
I feel like the first section is so Dickens too. Like it's so hardcore Dickens.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
young orphan wandering a graveyard. That's exactly how Great Expectations begins.
I suppose it is, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I want to read more of that G.K. Chesterton because I'm sure that
Have you
it's
read any of them?
I've read half of The Man Who Was Thursday.
Oh, it's weird.
It seems
very
weird.
strange.
But yeah,
Napoleon
I'm
said-
sure that he'll just pop up and be like, "Oh, you're just blatantly ripping this off," like he does to Graves and Borges over and over again.
There definitely is an element to Chesterton of like where you're like, what? Wait, what are you talking about? Like, while Chesterton is like, and then this guy went romping down the lane. Like, he'll describe stuff that's like so surreal and just plow right through it. That I think.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
Gene Wolfe certainly does that.
Poe does that too.
Yeah.
What's the
I
book
feel
that
like
Poe
a
wrote?
lot of
The narrative that
writers
Edward
of the
and Finn.
supernatural, like in the late 19th century, early 20th century, wrote in that mode of this like sort of you just plow forward, and sometimes there's a density to the language that you just completely miss. I mean, Lovecraft's like that, Blackwood's like that. I don't know. Yeah, and that, I mean, it's clearly like a big source of inspiration here too.
Yeah, and I think that those three words, I think that is a full on like Joyce. Thing there. Thing.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
And
That's-
what did
it
we
is
talk about
so
last
much
time? Like a
like that
Shakespeare.
bit of-
Like Shakespeare just thrown in too,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Like a Twelfth Night
complete,
thing.
A total.
I am all the sons,
All the sons
and all the daughters.
or whatever. Yeah.
Like this must be like just full Like in the same way that Joyce is.
wasteland.
Like Joyce is like
right, like
constant. Wasteland. Yeah. Like I feel like this might be more like that than I realized until today.
Yeah, like a pastiche.
Like really seriously is like full of influences. What's that sound? I mean,
Somebody buzzed.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
Oh, nice.
What's up? It's $5 after 11 o'clock. Yeah.
It must be Aaron. I bet it's Aaron.
Oh, okay. See.
This is a great conversation.
But
No, I'm with you.
Was it Aaron?
yeah.
Wow. I'm just looking at
What? Oh,
Just-
well, now my
just looking
phone's
for-
decided to stop working. What time is it?
It's like
It
10
is-
days.
It's like
we
almost
had
eight.
a Reddit 76
All right, so soon-
my friend Alan just
Soon
sent
we
me.
have to make
Okay.
way for the next.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we are
Okay.
2 hours and 10 minutes into
Does
this stream.
anyone
Not enough
want to
time.
say anything about the fucking excruciation of Thecla and
God,
the
it's-
death of
Yeah,
Thecla?
there's so much
Ryan
to say.
wants
We
to
have
say
so
something.
much.
It's so horrible. It's so
It's
much
pretty
more.
It's so
dark
well
than
done.
Anything that's happened. This has
Yeah.
been a grim book.
It's like
It's funny because
It's one of the
usually when
darker
I'm
parts of the
reading
book.
this shit, I'm just like by myself in a room, like, and this for whatever reason I hadn't finished like the last like 10 pages we had to read or whatever, and I was sitting in Kenny's little house, which is a tiny little room, and I was reading it, and I finished it, and I was just like, oh, like he's sitting there like doodling on the table, and I'm like, whoa.
It's so much worse than I could have imagined. And
The
we've been
revolutionary.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucked name.
That's a really
Yeah.
fucked name. Like what?
Because yourself betrays yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, you're destroyed from
Oh,
the
shit.
inside.
Damn.
So
But then
nice.
also it kind of has some weird, like I'm imagining a like something spinning, like that kind
Yeah.
of revolution, like an
Yeah.
electrical device
Oh,
that
okay.
spins.
In the late 90s, early
Oh.
aughts, House on Haunted Hill, there's a section with one of those, what are they called? Rousters? Like where there's like a bunch of slits and you can see the horse running. You know what I'm talking about?
a
Raster. The earliest form of television.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
earliest
yeah.
firm of television.
I've had too much of the wine.
There was a lot of one.
The revolution thing. It's like, do you think that this culture has a conception of like a political revolution? If they're probably not.
That's like what Vodalist kind of is, right?
Oh yeah. right.
Vodalist is
Yeah.
nothing
Totally.
if not a
Yeah,
revolution.
but how? I don't know. I'm just thinking about
I
the.
think even in terms of the war with the Asians.
Oh,
and
right, there's a
Vodalist,
war.
I think that revolution
You're right.
is like
Well, I was
budgeted
thinking-
for. Like we that's part of the.
I was
system.
thinking like the very like seemingly rigid like guild and class system and stuff, and they're probably just like, yeah, this is our thing. But then I realized like, oh, Severian's talking, and he's like, yeah. There's all this stuff going on that he doesn't pay attention to. It's like there's fucking
Yeah.
war. There's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, there's
All
a
this
war
cra-
happening now.
Yeah, and like the stuff in the House Absolute seems like really like cutthroat and dangerous and fucked up, and like they're like keeping people hostage just preemptively, just for fun, just
Yeah,
not for fun,
decades,
but like
yeah.
just because
More than
someone
decades,
might
yeah.
fuck up.
Generations.
Yeah, lifetimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
thinking
the
of
thing
that,
with
but,
Gene
like-
is that it's always what he's not describing,
Yeah.
which is where the really important things are happening.
OG.
It's the notes you don't play.
Exactly.
That's true. This is
Exactly.
jazz.
Catholic jazz.
Catholic jazz.
It's the name of your next album.
That's the new name of this stream. Catholic jazz. Forget Wolfpack.
Catholic space jazz. So next time, how many should we read? He's going to Thrax.
Huh. Okay.
I guess we could
Oh
go
well,
through
first
20.
we have to decide
Oh, yeah, I
when
know.
our next meeting is.
Let's decide
Because
that.
we were gonna do 4 and have it every 2 weeks, and then we only could do it every.
So
You
the
said
next 2
3
weeks from
weeks?
now is after Thanksgiving.
3 weeks is
Saturday.
good for me.
Right,
You
I have
you
to.
said you're not gonna be here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, my idiot cousin's getting stupid married.
Stop.
That's the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Hold on, let me
So,
get
So
to
that would be the
then December 1st
1st.
is the next Saturday.
Yeah, December 1st I can meet.
You want to
We want to do. All right, so we're gonna go with that the second.
Should we?
Let's do 8 more.
Oh yeah, and the show
You
that's
wanna
on that
up
day's
it?
been canceled.
Should we do it earlier in the day?
Oh yeah, because
Yes.
Homeboy didn't come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shem didn't even come.
Yeah, and that's why we were late. So maybe we move it back to the early night.
I
Do
would
4 o'clock.
love
I would love to
that.
do
Yeah.
it earlier.
Yeah. we
4
did.
o'clock would be the earliest I could
Stretch
do.
out if we
Well, 4 is when we did it original.
Right,
We
yeah.
bumped it for him and then he didn't come. The
So,
fucking
you know, forget
ingrate.
about. Is that. Do
So
Do
close.
not!
Yeah, very
Do
close.
not! So, okay, so
We
December.
were talking about
4
Schwem, and we were
o'clock.
like, "Oh man, is he about to walk in?"
And
But
so
it
we
wasn't
will be
him.
doing to chapter 20.
He didn't.
Chapter
Yeah, you
20.
guys
Yeah,
wanna
let's
do
go
through
through
20?
20, I think. That's what's the father-in-law's
Chapter
name?
20, 4 o'clock on December 1st. So jot that down.
December 1st.
It's etched
Yeah.
in my mind.
Okay.
It's the only reason
Oh
I
yeah,
have
it takes
to
us to
live.
the mirrors.
Yeah.
Ooh, the mirrors.
Alright, so let's
There's
see here.
more Jorge's.
Ooh, yeah, it's like 80,
You know what?
80 pages.
I don't understand what Roman numerals are even about.
XX. We go through XX.
It's cool. It's like a
X-
code.
just
it's like
XX?
a very
XX.
easy.
Through XX.
Okay. I had to Google. 12.
What time we doing?
4
4 o'clock.
Cool.
Yeah.
The original time.
or
The original time.
Right, very
The
good.
original time. Of
we can do it
4.
earlier if y'all want.
She can't do it earlier. Emma can't do it.
I can do, yeah, 4 is like the earliest I could do.
What do
Or
you
it's
do?
realistic for me.
I have my job. 4
Job?
4 is realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
Service coordination for autistic people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't
All right.
pretend
I'm
that I
gonna
know
end
what
this
that
straight.
is.
Does anybody have anything we want to add to the internet?
No.
What's that?
We will see you next
You
time.
gotta do that again. You weren't on camera.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. There you go. All right. That's it. We'll see you on December 1st.
Does any-